What is up, everybody? Twice in one day. How about that? I know there's not too many people tuning in. You're probably exhausted of all the Mike Perkins extravaganza. That's fine. We're going ahead with this, and we have a very ambitious show tonight. I plan to show you guys 100 different slides. That means we're going to have to blow through quite a lot of them without actually talking about them. But that's cool. We'll see how it goes. I like I always say, I like to try different things and experiment and whatnot. So, yeah, we'll see how it goes. Just first wanted to say hello again, as always, to you, Mr. Red Jack. And thank you for always being here to welcome everybody. Always the first guy here. Really appreciate that. Hi, my wife. How are you? Vivian Chu, the biggest collector of all. Rick, good to see you again. Mr. Easy Go Lucky. Paul Pappas, good to see you, my friend. What is up, Kavi? Good to see you. We'll talk when I have a little bit more time. Maybe tomorrow I'll email you. Who else we got? Who else? Oh, of course, we have got Marcus. Mike Perkins, greater than Kendrick Perkins. If you say so. I'm sure he appreciates that. And yes, Paul. Yes, 100. We'll see. Maybe we won't. That's the idea, anyways. Yes, Kavi. 100. Yes, exactly. So, guys, thank you, especially to those of you who tuned in this afternoon or this morning, depending on where in the world you are, or in the evening if you were overseas. Really appreciated it. I hope you liked it. I thought it was fun. I still haven't obviously had time to watch myself as a viewer. I intend to do that in the next day or two. But it seemed like it was quite fun. I thoroughly enjoyed it. So I hope you guys all did too. For tonight, as the what do you call it? The thumbnail for this tonight's show said, we have, so it's what we're going to do tonight is a retrospective of over the last 20 years of Mike's career. Just to give everybody, particularly those of you who may only have familiarized yourselves with him or his work, either with Swamp Thing or like in the last couple of years since he's been at DC. Figured I'd like to give an overview of what he's done penciling and inking himself in the last 20 years. So that'll start with a small project that he did at CrossGen, going into Marvel, and then there's going to be a lot of Swamp Thing. So that's it. And what's that? Oh, hold on. Sorry, guys. Mike Perkins brings us as much suspense as Anthony Perkins.
Less murder, though.
Less murder. Exactly. Yeah. So, guys, please welcome, of course, my guests tonight. Very, you guys know these guys obviously already. I mean, you know Chris because he's constantly on the Thursday night weekly show on Comic Art Live. And of course, you guys all know Jason Hussa, although not visually, perhaps until now or until earlier today. But you would know him.
Probably a good thing, but
yeah, right. No, but you'd know him from his awesome comments on CAF. Very well spoken, leaves beautifully written comments, knows how to talk about art, and that's why I wanted both of these gentlemen here. So that's why they're here. And finally, I know you guys are wondering, where's Mikhail? Where's Mikhail? So if you guys didn't tune in earlier this morning, afternoon, Mikhail was traveling. He was on his way home. And on the plane, while he was on the plane hit a bird, or the bird hit the plane into the engine, I guess. And when that happens, I guess it's a you have to turn around. The plane has to turn around and head back to where they came from, no matter how far they've gotten, I think. And yeah, so that has delayed his return home. And he emailed me to say that he probably would not be able to make it tonight. So that's what happens. These things happen. Shit happens. What are you gonna do? So yeah, exactly. And hey, Rick, good to see you, my friend. A bird, exactly.
Chris and I have resolved to talk 1/3 more than we normally would have.
To make up for Mikhail, exactly.
Boost our output.
Yeah.
Bird world problems, exactly.
I was going to joke that I finally was able to kill Mikhail, which I've promised to do for a long time. But
Angel was killed today. All right. So, and guys, just a little warning that because I'm going to try to get through so many scans, so many images. I may not be able to pop into the chat as often as I usually would like to. So just so you know, okay. But yeah, let's get the show on the road. You guys ready?
Yeah, you bet.
Absolutely.
Okay, sounds good.
And looking at art and even earlier this week, you know what I had for dinner? Rubens. So
I ate at Perkins.
Yeah.
Did you?
There you go. And Rubens.
Man, that was going to be so good for a second.
I had a Reuben at Perkins.
Oh man! All right, let me jump into the images here, guys. All right, so 20 years back, Mike was at CrossGen. So he did multiple things at CrossGen, but I'm only showing tonight the things that he penciled and inked himself. So it's pure Perkins all the way through. And this was a spin-off from the Ruse comic that he was inking over Butch Geist. But he got an opportunity to pencil and ink himself, which is what he always wanted to do, on this spin-off called Archard's Agents. Archard is Simon Archard, the protagonist of Ruse. And here's the first image. Now, this isn't a full page. I realize, usually on these types of shows, people put always full pages. It was just these particular two panels on the page that I just really, really sort of blew me away for I think obvious reasons. And that's why I decided to just sort of crop the page and focus on the panels in question, But that obviously at the bottom, you've got the whole texturized brick thing happening, which is why I love it. But that top panel, you one of you must know why I like that, right?
Oh yeah. Excuse me, Chris. I'm sorry, but yeah, the visual texture that's on display there, that's really crazy, especially with the light source.
It's the light source. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Just spilling out all over the place. So you've got shadows on either side of the main rail, winding down. It just adds another shape. Got some. It's lovely work.
The effort that it took to map the individual shadows for the stair supports as well is insane. Like I would add that this is just tremendous cinematography, right? I mean, one of the things that we don't appreciate about comic art is how the artist is often the cinematographer / director. And right. Yeah, I mean, so here you've got like this, well, Marcus actually just said it, I think. Yeah, you've got, so this is a Hitchcockian like shot here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's basically it, So I thought, I mean, for me, it's one of the things that I sort of made me when I was a teenager, wanting to be an artist, and I went to art school. This is one of the things that when I would see these types of panels, I would say, shit, I'm not going to be an artist. I'm never going to be an artist.
Ruben. Yes.
Because I just don't want to go through all the trouble of having to do all the minutia of all, like you said, those supports, right? The supports for the banisters. And
balusters. Yeah. Rick Welch in the chat saved us. They're called balusters.
Oh, okay. So I was wondering. Okay, that's why I popped it on screen, because I was going to ask, what does a baluster? Okay, yeah, balusters. Yeah. There you go. Thank you, Rick. Appreciate it, man. But Robert, yeah, it's because exactly. Makes me, like I said, not want to be an artist.
Marcus came in with a moy and said next.
There you go. So here, I just wanted to quickly show again how his attention to detail. Like if you look at the top part of this. I mean, that building in the background with the columns, just all the details there. And to the left of it, the windows you see, he even put in all the ivy around the windows, just those little things that typically, as you're reading a comic, most people don't sort of tend to pick up on and notice or bother. Yeah, you gloss over it kind of thing. But for me, these are the things that sort of stand out immediately, Look
at the
sorry, let me go back here.
Sorry, Chris. The central panel there. Let me look at the depth to that panel and how that vanishing point is so far back there. And there's, wow. And
the sense of scale that it gives for that, whatever that internal environment is, that house is huge.
Yeah.
In case you didn't get it on the first panel. Oh, right. That house is really big. Got it.
Yeah. Here was another panel. I just really was impressed. This is again going back in 2003 because I didn't know who the hell this guy was. Right. I'm like, I first saw him inking Butch on Ruse, and I was like, wow, this looks fantastic. It's like the best I've seen, Butch look. Who the hell, I went, and then I went back, I flipped back to the credits. I was like, who the hell is Mike Perkins? Right. I was just like, what the hell? So yeah, when I saw this, penciling and inking himself, and I see just the those, what do you call it? Those fish that the mounts. Yeah. All the tiny little fine details in that. The what do you call that on the desk? Is that filigree?
Yeah.
Also,
why do you bother to execute the different species of fish?
Right. That's what I'm saying. You don't need to do that. You don't need to do all that, Mike. That's what I would tell him. Why would you go to? But I guess he's at this point. I mean, he's established, but he's still fairly early. Several years into his career. But I guess I don't know. You part of it always has to do with you're at a new publisher. You want to impress your boss, that kind of thing. Maybe
Right. But even
mission accomplished.
Yeah, going so far as to differentiate each of the different species of fish, but then look at the ceiling there. Like, there's more lighting on the ceiling. There's more texture. Those inlays on the ceiling has all that stuff. It's.
And I think the other thing not to harp on by any means, or try and run down Jackson Geist, because he's insane. But like in some ways, this looks to me like Perkins trying to say, okay, yeah, but look at this.
Yeah. I know. I agree. Rubens Wall of Art. Okay. Mike loves his trees. That is true. He likes to draw all the organic stuff. That is true. He'll tell you that himself. He's not impressed with it. Billy Bass. Let me just quickly.
That was the most Billy Bass I've ever seen in my life in one place.
And is it position? Yes. Look at this. Love the lady's hand position. I wish I could say and refer to you by your name, but I don't read Japanese, unfortunately.
Can you bring that back up, or did we move on?
Oh, sorry.
He or she is referring to.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Let me just get the fish heads, Raleigh Polly fish heads. Okay. Let me just go back, and here you go.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's a beautifully drawn woman. As great as the fish are, she's.
Yeah, I mean, I like her hips, the way that right, the spine, the hips.
There's an attitude.
Yeah, everything's just she looks natural, not stiff. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, I wanted to say to you, Mr. Love the Lady's Hand Position, let me know who you are. I want to know if I know you. Yeah. Let me get rid of that. And okay, let's jump to the next one. So now we're going to move on to Marvel. So now he begins his Marvel career. He moves on from CrossGen, and he starts. It's not the first thing he did, but the first regular thing or semi-regular thing he started doing, which is Captain America. This is I'm going to show the first 2 pages. I'm going to start with the first 2 pages of his first issue. So this is like I guess I can't remember, a flashback. Well, obviously, I mean, it doesn't take place in World War II, right? So it's some kind of flashback to World War II, but it's like a film reel going by, so to speak, right? And I don't know about you guys, but I love Cap when Captain America, when the character is set in World War II. I love that stuff.
Me too.
Yeah, I love that setting, Let me go to the next one to show you the follow-up page, because that's where he encounters the Red Skull facing off with him there. And I was just like, wow, this is, and the black spotting, everything just seems perfectly balanced. I don't know.
I loved what a great job. So I was reading this book, month to month back in the day. And I loved what a great job they did of bringing in artists who complemented one another.
Each other, yeah. I agree. I agree. And it's funny, just a quick little sidebar. When Mike began, so what Mike did, some people still they don't know or they don't remember. So Steve Epting is not the fastest guy when he has to ink himself, right? So he, on occasion, would fall behind schedule, and he would ask, "Hey, Mike, can you ink me for these issues?" Right? And so that's why he did that a few times. And then what happens when Ed Brubaker obviously had to get something sort of straightened out there so that the deadline issue didn't be, it wasn't an issue kind of thing, right?
Yep.
So what happened was they asked Mike, would you like to be the permanent inker on Steve for this title? And he was not interested because he was trying to establish himself as a penciler inker, you see. So he said no. So then what they said was, okay, how about if we give Steve 4-issue arcs and then you do 3-issue arcs and we go back and forth, 4 issues, him, 3 issues. Right, exactly. Yep. And that's what they ended up doing in the end,
I wish, to be honest, I wish more editorial teams would do something similar. Even now, if you could keep, I do, I used to work in a comic shop, as I said earlier, and we would frequently hear from people how, when you got a different team, an art team on the book, they'll be like, no, this isn't for me. So I feel like if you go that extra mile as an editorial group to like keep the art like somewhat cohesive, and Marvel used to do this all, regularly, right? You retain those readers, and then like to, from Epting's purposes, like then those people are still there when he comes back on to do his 4 issues.
Well, you know what, Chris? Here's an interesting little again sidebar. So when they started that whole 4 and 3 back and forth 4 and 3 issues, Mike and I would keep laughing all the time because every time he would finish an issue and it was published, right? We would both go on the internet and we would look for reviews, right? And almost all the time, almost every review would say things like, "Oh, another great issue, man! I love Steve Epting."
Yeah,
and then who else did they get? They got Michael Lark also to come in
and Luke Ross.
Exactly. Very, and then later on in the run, Butch Geist came out. And so it was just exactly what Chris said. There was obviously some intent from editorial to, I don't know, standardize
yes, you want to keep
look and feel.
Exactly.
Yeah. You want to keep it consistent, right?
Yeah, to the run's benefit, obviously, because it's really great. And
I think all the artists benefit as well. I mean, that was kind of like in a weird way, it was like an extended team.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Good evening to you, Dino. Good to see
you.
All right, let us go on again to the next one, and that would be sticking with Captain America. I just wanted to show a non-costume character page, but just nice, clear storytelling and just a beautiful scene of, especially that third to last panel on the left side, of course, and just the whole romantic sort of double 2-page romantic scene. I just think it's beautiful. And I just wanted to sort of show that and not just showcase superhero stuff all the time,
Right. And as great as his details are, putting in the washes for the trees and everything like that, he knows when to drop in a solid black, like on the right hand page on that
great
second
call out, Jason.
So where it's gonna, whatever she's saying right there, that is, it's got to compete with the kiss, right? That beautiful 3-panel lower tier there. And so whatever she's saying right there, like as a reader, you don't even need the captions and you're falling in love with her just looking at that page because it just spotlights that emotion purely and very cleanly. It's just a beautiful job.
Yeah. And just in case anybody wants to see what it looked like colored, there's the Frankie D'Armata coloring.
I loved the coloring on this run. I really did. It was at the time, especially, it was singular. Like this was the look of this book, and I was way into it.
Yeah, I agree. Although I remember, and it goes back a long time now, of course, but I remember though, after a certain amount of time, I honestly couldn't say when it happened, like what issue. But I remember telling Mike, I was like, man, don't you find the coloring might be a little dark at times? And he was like, yeah, I've actually already spoken to Frankie about that, whatever. And so I did feel it got a bit dark, but again, that's neither here nor there. I agree with you, Chris. I thought it was pretty spectacular coloring. I really enjoyed the
I guess it had its panel, or it had its palette, whatever you want to say, and they for better or for worse, they didn't stray from it a great deal. So yeah, I do think you're right, Ruben. It did read as dark in places, but I also felt like it was typically like shit that was going on with like Faustus or Lucan or whatever at the time that I always took as tonal.
Yeah.
But your comment is well taken for sure.
Excellent. Check this one out.
Oh.
Case in point.
Yeah. I had to throw one in that was at least of a hero or a villain in costume, and I always loved this splash, and I always regretted, that back in those days. I mean, I was telling Jason earlier that for the first 11 years that I worked with Mike, I never took first dibs on anything. I let everybody else take first dibs.
Wow.
So there was so many things that I would have loved to have gotten, of course. And, these are the types of pages that, in the first minute that you drop the art on the site, they're gone. You know what I mean? So
yeah, this hits you in the belly.
Yeah. I just love it.
And then stomps on your toe. It doesn't stop it.
Just to have Doom and Skull interacting on the same page. I mean, that's pinnacle shit. But that bottom panel, my God.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
damn.
That's a game of chicken you wanna watch, right? Yeah. Doom and Skull.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Interestingly enough, it's like a lot of the stuff that I show on my channel here, like on YouTube, doing show and tells and whatnot. I don't know why, but I'll check on eBay and it's like, damn, it's not there. Like who owns this stuff? Why hasn't it appeared? It's weird. Like a lot of the stuff I've sold over the years just disappeared, into the ether. I don't know. It's weird, but
just real beautiful. Quick too, that top left panel with Doom, that's such a dramatic, like operatic, almost like Shakespearean almost pose. So credit to Mike there.
Yes, exactly. I was wondering actually if either of you, I was gonna say it, then I said, no, we have too many things to get through. But if you guys say it, that'll be cool. I was thinking, just like the when he did the homage, the Shakespearean homage on I don't know, 4 or 5 issues back on the cover to the Swamp Thing, where she's holding the skull or whatever, right? So okay, excellent. And here we move on. So this is where he did a one shot. It's a couple of years after starting on Cap. He did a one shot. Annihilation was like the big thing at the time. This whole long series of science fiction,
Cosmic.
and he's cosmic thing exactly. And he got a chance to do like a one shot issue for that thing, and it was cool because for me, I just thought, hey, this is a good way for you to show that you can also do another genre, not just superheroes, but hey, now it's science fiction,
You know what's so cool about this to me though is, yes, it's a science fiction subject. This has a war book feel.
Yeah.
War book, as in World War II type war book?
Yeah. Like, our heroes at war or whatever, for like a, Kubert DC thing.
I mean, look at the
because of the soldiers on top.
Yeah. So soldiers on top and the town in Wash down to the left. It looks like, sort of an Eastern European thing that we just switched from Captain America, but that background would be there.
Yeah.
It just is.
It's a little villa or, whatever in France. Yeah.
And then we got a kind of standard horizontal panel layout with the female Quasar, of course.
Phyla-Vell,
Yeah. Phyla-Vell, there you go. Yeah, that's the proper name. So I thought he did a great job. I was like, wow, hey, this is pretty good. And it's almost like I once I saw this, I told him, boy, I'm not myself personally. Sorry, Kavi and Jeff and whoever else is watching. Never been a big Star Wars guy, but when he did this, I'm telling you, I was like, man, I wouldn't mind seeing you do some kind of Star Wars work now,
I could see it. Yeah. I mean, this is cool fight choreography. And I mean, if you had subbed out Phyla for some kind of like female Jedi or something, you'd be right in the same role, right? Yeah.
Excellent. All right, let's check out this one. Okay, so here we go. We move on to the stand the following year. So he spent 3.5-4 years doing this one adaptation, and I gotta say, it to me it is the single best adaptation of a single novel ever. It's just the fact that one guy did it. I believe it totals something like in the neighborhood of 680 pages. It's basically as long as a novel in and of itself. You know what I mean?
And the novel was a tome.
Yeah. Of course, they had that expanded version, right? That initially it was published as something like 800 pages, but then later, a few years later, they came out with that like 12 or 1300 page long version, unabridged, I guess you call it. But yeah, I love his rain technique. I always love it when he does this whole, the weather, the rain. I love the emotion with the father and daughter.
Characterization, definitely in panel 3, especially is on the left page is amazing.
Yeah, all the sky, the rain. And, Jay Lee had the big run on Dark Tower books, and those were gorgeous as well. It just benefits from having a single artistic voice on those long projects like that, especially someone who could bring something like this, right? I mean, all the texture, all of the rain.
Hey, Mackie Poo Poo.
That's beautiful.
Hey, Mike. Good to see you, man.
Somebody who can bring visual interest to what are, honestly sort of mundane subjects, right?
Yeah.
It's a woman and a man in a rainstorm, and they're standing in front of a house, and like, big deal, right? But there's drama here. There's weight.
Yeah. Gravitas.
Yes.
So just wanted to show the color in case anybody's curious. I'm not going to be doing all the time, but yeah. And here we have another one where, again, showing his mastery of shadow and light. A lot of shadow on these 2 pages. Okay, so I wish I could show it taller. I can't, unfortunately. Sorry, guys. But so left page, the first page. So that's one of the main characters, Nick Andros. He's coming down the stairs of a cellar, I guess, from outside in those, like in middle America? Is that properly said? Like middle America, where
the Midwest.
The Midwest, the heartland.
Yeah.
And you go down into the cellar by the outside of the house, kind of thing. And so that's it. And he goes down there, and he's you can see the sort of bodies or something lying there. And I just love that the second, third, fourth panel, all you see, it's just little bit parts of him. He's emerging. It's emerging, little parts of him. And then that last panel, you see the Randall Flagg, the Dark Man, sort of coming out of the darkness. And then you move over to the next page, and it's like, it reminds me of the movie, oh God, House on Haunted Hill, I think. There's a scene where this creepy, scary woman she just moves quickly across the screen. And I think it's because of course, in the 1960s, I think, they just kind of rolled her across the screen, right? They got her standing on some little trolley type thing or whatever. And and it kind of just reminded me of that. But
it's a testament to his credit that he can make a scene as drab and ordinary as this look so dramatic, because everyone knows that these live in every cellar in the Midwest, right? You open the door and you just have to brush aside all the zombies and things.
It's all dead bodies, and there's one creepy guy in the basement. But
it's still, kudos to Mike for making this, this otherwise pedestrian scene. It is amazing. And look at the top panel on the right page, right? Where you have that character mostly in shadow, and then like a ghostly movement or something.
Right, the motion.
While one person is stationary. It's terrifying. It's so beautiful. It is just amazing.
The middle panel on that right-hand page on the bottom too, that washout lighting effect from the door to the cellar.
Yeah.
Like, come on. That's amazing.
Yeah. And just for the heck of it, and I don't mean to disparage anyone, but we are here to sort of critique. Just wanted to show you the colorized version. You can tell them, be honest, but I was kind of like, oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some things do read, especially I think in the let's call this the horror genre, right? It's Stephen King. So some things in the horror genre do read better in black and white.
Yeah, very much so. Well, you should see it's funny, if you go on Facebook, and whenever Mike, he posts things, post the latest page or whatever to sort of try to promote the latest issue of whatever he's on. Most of the comments is always going to be somebody commenting on, oh, I wish they could print your work in black and white. You know,
Totally.
always, you know, and I mean,
Dude, I get it. I get those comments. I mean, there's so many times where, particularly, I mean, vintage art, my God, the coloring is sad.
Yeah.
But
But okay.
sometimes recoloring isn't much better. You know, I mean, like it's recoloring. You're like, oh, you know, oh, they had a chance to leave the color out or something. You know, I feel sorry for a lot of colorists sometimes. I mean, they do great work. They don't deserve my pity. I'm not saying I pity them, but it's like, you got to look at this job and go, oh my gosh, what do I do with this? This is beautiful. Like it's done.
Totally agree.
Know, you know, what I can do. So they're sort of stuck in between a rock and a root cellar, you know, with, you know, you know, it's just, you know, what can you do? And I think Eric DLS says, right, like the more black on a page, the better, right? Like something that works.
Yeah.
That is totally, I think, what he's talking about.
I mean, if it's well placed, right? You can't just have, you know, random black everywhere. And if it doesn't help to sort of, you know, lead the eye and make sense of what you're looking at, then you know.
That was my mistake in art school. I just I turned in black pages, just blank, you know, full of ink, and they told me I didn't have a future.
You're like, look, Eric DLS told me this was the way to go.
Yeah. Talk to Eric.
Yeah. I mean, if you're a fan of Mike Mignola, certainly that's a way to go.
Of course.
Yeah, sure. But he knows how to place his blacks, right?
100%.
So that's the thing. So here, there is one more image from the stand I wanted to show, but because I'd like to go in order of when it was drawn, I'm showing this first because he did this. You know, he was going nuts because, of course, the stand was so long that he got to the point where he was telling his editor, God, I need some superheroes, please.
Yeah.
Give me a break.
Palette cleanser.
Yeah, he's right, because he's just, you know, you're just drawing literally. The stand is just regular people in regular clothing in a regular earthly setting, right? Page after page after, you know, hundreds of pages. So,
right.
Yeah. So,
and sometimes a creepy looking dude in a cellar mixed in.
Right.
That's it. Okay,
Ruben, can you bring up the comment from CJ Design about this piece?
Of course I can. Let me,
because I think this is apt. And it's, you know, honestly, when I saw this at first, I was like, what? And then, like, the more I look at it, that's a dead on comment. And it's surprising to me because I would never lump Perkins and Colin into the same bin. But this particular piece, I get it.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, actually, Chris, that's interesting that you say that. Let me pop this comment first. I've had all I can stand. I can't stand no more. Marcus, Thor's choking up on the hammer. It's because he's not going for the long ball. I think he's just going for a slap. He's like a slap hitting.
Yeah, a little quickie.
Yeah, exactly. You know. But what did I want to say? Let me bring
Colin.
Yeah, to Colin. So interesting that you have that take on it, because so while he was on Captain America, the comments coming in online and whatnot, on some websites that would be answered by Ed Brubaker, you know, and the way Ed put it was, well, you know, the way I see it, he said, I liken Steve Epting to sort of a John Buscema type guy, but Mike, I've always seen him. I see his stuff as a Gene Colan guy. You know,
it's so interesting to me.
And oh, by the way, before you say what you're going to say, that Colan comparison thing, I've seen it continue to happen since then.
Well,
I'm with you, by the way. I'm with you.
I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, but at the time I was like, what? Yeah. But interestingly enough, you know, what I say is now, you know, when I was writing one of the write-ups up for tonight's episode, I was like, I was trying to work on titles and subtitles, and I was like, well, okay, Comic Art Show and Tell number 3. And I think I put something like Mike Perkins painting with ink, right?
Yeah.
Because I see it as he's kind of painting with ink. He uses so much of it, right? And then it made me think, because that just came to mind, and then suddenly I was like, wait a second, that book, I don't know if you guys are aware of it, but somebody had written a book, I have it, on Gene Colan back in the 2000s. It was called Gene Colan Painting with Pencil. You know, right? Because he has all those shades of gray that he does.
Right. There's a
right?
tonal pencil in the
Right.
absolutely in his raw pencils for sure.
Right. And so all of a sudden it sort of one, came together with the other. And I'm like, it's all coalescing. I'm like, oh, I guess that's what people are seeing, right? It is. There is something to the whole colon thing, right?
I didn't, and now I do.
Yeah, it's So that's it's very interesting. So all right.
I see a little Deodato, Mike Deodato Jr. in that cover.
Absolutely.
Sort of the pose and the way that Mike even signed his name with the little sort of almost scroll with the little like, I mean, it just it looked like a little Deodato flavor to
and
it.
I think
sorry,
and I was just gonna say I think that's like a sign of the times thing too, for sure, right? I mean, Deodato and Thor back then were
right,
or recently in the past anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm going to show the last stand piece. It's again one of my condensed. It's not the whole page; it's the panel that I really love.
Oh wow!
Wow.
I mean, I love the nice touch of the solid blacks breaking up into the crows there, but I just really love the Randall Flagg throwing his head back and that evil laughter that he's doing. It just got me,
I mean, that's Shakespearean. That's King Lear, right? I mean, like blow winds and crack your storms. I mean, it's like the whole. That's it right there. I mean, shouting to the heavens. I mean, blow winds and crack your storms.
Yeah, I thought
tremendous composition on that piece. Wow.
Yeah. Again, it's only a panel though, right? So just keep that in mind. So he moves on here, and we got to move on. So wanted to show an example just to let people know who weren't aware that he has done some inking, and the reason I wanted to show a couple of examples is because I have always found that when Mike has inked other people, it doesn't matter even who it was. He has inked people who have completely diametrically opposed styles from each other, and yet he always seems to ink them the way that the penciler is the artist is supposed to look. He's not one of these guys who, I got a job to ink this guy. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit of, I'm going to put my style into it or whatever.
Not Kevin Nolan.
And that he does. I love his stuff, but no, Mike. Mike
he's
has
amazing,
always,
but that it's Kevin Nolan.
No, exactly, and so that's why. And so there's this example and this example, both examples, and I was just like, man, that's like, wow. It's just really, really, really nice. And I thought, geez, and when you think about this, you think about like what of Mike's art today, right? Like there's this completely brush using shadow heavy stuff that he does. You're thinking, are you like, that's the last guy you would ever think, oh, who do we pick to ink, let's say George Perez or whoever, like the last guy. It's just not the kind of style you would think, right? Typically, when you see two guys with completely opposite styles, it's going to clash in the combination thereof, right? But he's I love it, and he says, I mean, if I'm going to ink somebody, I want it to look like their stuff. I want to, I'll put a little bit of me here and there, but very subtle. Well,
you can't help but not, right? But I mean, tremendous amount of credit to Mike, because like that's really one is eschewing your ego, but two, I mean, the level of professionalism that takes, I think, as a tradesman, as a whatever you want to say, a graphic artist, like that's a high level of professionalism.
Yeah, without question.
Yeah. I agree. All right. Sorry, go ahead, Jason.
It's just fun to see, like Perez is an artist who colors usually look good on, right? Because his art is so clean and so precise. And it's like, oh, you can put these all over. So it's really neat to see, Mike inking that. And just like Chris said, I mean, it's just a really professional job, because you can look at that, you can open that up and and show somebody who doesn't know that book and say, hey, who inked Perez here? And it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it looks a little, it just is really beautiful.
Exactly. So, all right, everybody, because of course we have so many images to get through, this is a point where I'm going to start going through a few without, maybe for a couple of seconds a piece, just so you guys all can see more art, but without us having to talk about every piece. But guys, Chris and Jason, if there's one that you want to say something about, just
Jason will honk.
That's right. I brought just in case if we have to stop, I can just sound the alarm. So
there you go. All right. So I'm going to do at least, because I can see something I want to stop on to show everybody. So I'll do at least 5. 4 or 5. All right. So this is when he jumps onto Astonishing X-Men with Marjorie Liu. Just his chance to draw Wolverine, Gambit, and the like. This page precedes this one here. So thought that was pretty cool. Of course, this is near the end of the run. Warbird, I didn't know her until I started, until Mike started doing his work on this title, and I was like, wow, she's a pretty badass character. Check out that what she's holding in her hand. She's got somebody's decapitated head. I love that. And then in the third panel, she just dumps it in front of Wolverine, and he's like, what the hell?
Yeah.
He's like, cool head, lady.
Like, yeah, what's happening here?
Like, I've done that a few times.
And I wanted to include this one as well, simply because just to show the difference of sometimes what he does when he has to do these special effects. And so on those what do you call it?
Dragons.
Dragons or whatever you want to call them. Yeah. Just doing it in wash only,
And like so many artists, this would be now it would be digital, but like even back in 2012, this would be an overlay.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They would create this on a separate piece, and that piece on the underboard would be blank, like Cassidy did for Planetary so many times.
Yeah. You're very, very right about that.
One of the things that you pointed out, Ruben, in the art drop this morning was how Mike would draw the whole thing on something that would normally be, just as Chris said, the colorist takes care of that. It's a big explosion of that supernova or whatever. But you can see all the tonal gradations in his wash and the depth that he puts on it, or the layers, a number of times he goes over that look to like, so that you could publish an artist edition of any of his work, and it would look like it's colored. I mean, it's finished.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, you'd lose nothing.
Yeah. You gain a lot.
Yeah, right.
Well, that's true. Yeah, because most of the time, although I love Mike Spicer's colors on Swamp Thing,
without question,
most of Mike's coloring, I felt like there's been some okay stuff, but I often still found myself saying, but man, I wish it could be in black and white, like a lot of guys have said, that I mentioned before, This I love. I was just like, oh wow. So this is like North Star. That's with his boyfriend Kyle. This is right around the time just before I think he's about to propose or whatever. And I don't know, they're having like a spat or something, and he just basically takes him flying around New York City. And I was just
wouldn't he propose in Canada?
No, I mean Kyle's from America, right? So I guess.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, but
pandering.
I love the buildings. I mean, that's what I really like about this. I mean, I love the nice, clean, clear, storytelling, of course. Then the blacks, of course. Is that the Chrysler building? Is that at the top?
Yeah.
Come on, New Yorkers.
Empire State Building.
Is that Empire or not Chrysler?
I believe it is.
Oh, I thought. Oh, okay. I thought that was the one where it's very from the Alphonse Mucha period. The Art Deco period.
They both are. The Empire and the Chrysler are both from the Art Deco period.
Oh, Empire. Oh, okay. Look, so we've got Marcus.
Marcus says it's Chrysler.
If Marcus says it's Chrysler,
I don't question Marcus ever, especially in topics of bondage.
And there we go. We got another Chrysler,
right?
Yeah, and another one by Mr. What the heck is going on?
CJ says though the Empire State is Deco as well.
It's the Chrysler Building. Excellent. What's your name, my friend? I want to know who you are. All right. Let us move on with some more art.
This is what Chris was saying also earlier about how Mike Perkins is able to illustrate sort of regular people in regular situations and really convey effectively the emotion and the emotional tenor of the moment, right? Like, it's not just drawing expressions on the faces; it's drawing ones that are specific to that moment. And
it's a setting.
exactly. It's horrifying. It's zombies and canned peaches and everything like that. But I don't know that anyone sets the stage as nicely as Mike Perkins. I mean, you look at that last page and it is just gorgeous, and it's buildings. It's like a boring page. You know what I mean? I mean, you would think that he wouldn't have to do that much work on that page, and yet
he could have not.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. The conscious decision to do that shows, just a love of the craft, a love of storytelling, and
that high level of professionalism.
Yeah, and I do definitely want to follow that up, Chris, because I've told Mike myself, like, that's one of the things I've always admired the most about him, the professionalism. It's not just in how he draws the page and the work he puts into it. I'm talking about the guy never misses a deadline ever,
how he comports himself.
Right. I mean, just an old school style pro kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, I love that about him, and that's why you figure somebody like that is also going to be like a really good person, and he is, and it's just amazing. Rick says the Tesla building is shaped like a 9-volt battery. Which is a Tesla building? Sorry, for my ignorance.
No, I don't know either.
Oh, okay. I don't feel so bad then. You can tell us, Rick. But let me go on to the next slide, because this is something I wanted to show everybody. Check this out.
Nice.
So this is, as what it says there, a pitch. So while he was finishing up his run with Marjorie Liu on the Astonishing X-Men, they both got together and said, hey, why don't we pitch this series or whatever? And they came up with this idea to relaunch the Defenders and just make them all females, and so he put these images together. And first he was told, well, we have plans for the Defenders, so you definitely can't use that title. That's number one. Then they said, well, we have plans for Laura Kinney, X-23, so you can't use her. So she's not going to be the soldier at the bottom. And that's why he added in the bottom right hand Cecilia Reyes, who was one of the members of Astonishing X-Men that he had just been drawing. But then he and Marjorie thought, okay, what if we can't use her and we can't use the name Defenders? What about if we use the Liberators, right? And so then he came up with this whole thing. And I by the way, I just really love that silhouette. I don't know. I just love that silhouette.
Charlie's Angels gone right.
Yeah, exactly.
It's gone right.
It's fun. It's fun.
You know what though? Calling back to the Cullen comparison earlier, look at Black Widow.
Oh, let me
go one slide back, Ruben.
Yeah. Let me go there. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, middle right.
Yeah. And I love Mystique. I love how sultry her face looks in the top left-hand corner there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, really love her.
And dangerous.
Say again.
And dangerous.
Exactly. And interestingly enough, in case anybody's wondering, so why didn't it happen? So when they made the pitch, whoever it was that they pitched it to said something to the effect of, nobody's going to buy that.
Oof.
What? An all female group of hot chicks, like mercenaries and stuff.
Killing people?
Nobody killing people.
Yeah.
No.
I'm sorry. Defending people?
Liberating.
Yeah,
liberating people.
Yeah, Marcus says, but female heroes upset people. Well, yeah, I don't know. These days, a lot of things upset people.
I'm upset right now.
Silhouettes, but those hips don't lie. Exactly.
For the record, I do love Charlie's Angels. That was just fantastic.
Oh no, I grew up with that.
I like the gone right comment because
and look at Mystique and how her profile shot. You still have the skull, in the group shot there.
They're distinct.
Each one has its designated identifier, right?
Yes.
And Mystique has the skull right there. Black Widow has the belt. It's just great design.
Yeah.
So like 99% of people, like, I'll say our age, love Jim Lee, right? But the dig on Jim Lee is always, okay, but everyone looks the same, right? From here to here, it can be Batman, it can be Superman, it can be Wolverine, it can be Colossus, like it doesn't matter, right?
Right.
That didn't have that problem.
Right.
All those characters had a model, and all those shots were on model, like respect.
An individual identity to them,
Yep.
Same thing you say about Jim Lee. Actually, it's funny. That he's not even the first name that comes to mind for me who whose faces tend to look the same. Like I've always found, actually, and it's a guy I love, Paul Galassi. I always use the word incestuous. I've always found his art looked incestuous because I found all the people, whether it's a man, woman, child, adult, whatever. Yep. I always found every face looks the same. The features, the facial features look the same. The bone structure looks the same,
John Byrne.
Oh, it's simple, right?
Everybody looks like they were drawn by John Byrne.
Right. Yeah. So interesting.
I love his art, but Frank Cho is something like that to me. I mean, like, I love his art, and I hate saying anything disparaging about it. But
I guess there's a lot of artists who you can kind of say that a similar type of thing, right?
Well, they're at the end of the day, they're a graphic artist, right? And their job is to churn out X number of images, pages, whatever you want to say a day.
Right.
That's not to degrade anyone. Jim Lee is in the pantheon for me as well. Like I love him, but yeah, CJ Design, J. Scott Campbell, female faces. But my point is, by comparison, Perkins did an excellent job of executing an individual model for each one of those images.
Right.
George Perez does that too. Going back to George Perez has an individual face for every character.
Yeah.
All right. So then he moves on. 2014 moves on to Deathlock, which is interesting for those of you who remember or who were here earlier this morning / afternoon. Somebody had asked the question about, will you go back to do Deathlock? And of course, he's on a exclusive contract, so he's not going to be at Marvel anytime soon. But he did mention that he still feels like he has a Deathlock in him, just because of the fact that this Deathlock was not his Deathlock.
It's like unfinished business.
Unfinished business. Yeah, it's not the original Deathlock, But I what? When he told me he was going to do Deathlock, I was like, oh, okay, cool. I was really excited because visually, I never cared to read Deathlock all that much, but visually, I love the look of the character, and I was like, oh yeah, awesome. I'd like to get I want to see you drawing Deathlock every month. And then of course I was told, oh, but it's not that Deathlock, and I was like, oh God, yeah. Right. And
not Luther Manning.
Yeah. And then he ended up, I think, finishing this series. They only, these days they always stop titles, pretty quickly, right? So they let it go 10 issues and then they stopped it. But I gotta say, I read it, and when I read it and got to the 10th issue, the end of it, I was like, damn, this was actually really good. It was actually really entertaining, even though it wasn't my Deathlock, So just want to put that out there in case anybody's ever wondered about whether they should try reading this one or not. Because
I've got to say the color in this case is additive. It's not subtractive.
Yeah, and that's, I believe. Oh gosh, I hope I don't get it right. I think that's Andy Troy, and Andy Troy was the guy who worked on Mike's Iron Fist series as well. So. Okay. I believe that's him. Yeah. So yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, very nice. And Mr. Red Jack says that first panel with the train crossing the bridge is fine. That was what drew me to that page, Brian. That exact panel, exactly. So yeah. And Robert, it was actually Robert here. It was Robert who had asked Mike about the Deathlock and whether he would go back to do Deathlock. Do you have the unpublished cover of Deathlock on with Luther Manning and a backdrop of Secretary and Weiss? I do not, Robert. Sold it many, many, many years ago. I suggest doing a search on Comic Art Fans, because at one point it was there, so it may still be there, maybe not, but that's all I can tell you. Sorry, man. Okay, so let's get on with the artwork. Let me go through. Okay, so I just one more Deathlock page here first. This I wanted to show again, because it's similar to that first scan that I showed from CrossGen, right? With the banisters, the railing, come on, man. Seriously? Again, why would you want to be a comic book artist and have to draw all that? That's insanity. That is insanity. Come on, man.
And he chose to do that. He is the guy who conceived that panel. He is the one who was like, am I going to go out and am I going to find reference for this? Or like, what am I going to do? Am I going to go make reference for this? I mean, that's a possibility too. Like, come on, Mike.
There's no shortcut in any of these panels, right? It's not like, well, I'm really going to pour it into panel 4, right?
Right.
So I'm gonna skimp on this one just to, no, I'm gonna make the shadow. I'm gonna grade out that shadow on panel 1, right? In it, and then I'm gonna get the really cool, Wrightson-esque sort of washy shadows in panel 2. I mean, it's just like, my goodness. I mean, Chris, you're exactly right. I'm sorry to interrupt. That was
no, and I just wanted to quickly say, because just to go back to what Robert was saying, because Robert, so you asked me if I have the unpublished cover, and then you're saying that's the one I got. Oh, sorry. Hey, Aranga, I'll get back to you in a second. So you're saying that's the one I got from you. I'm not sure what you mean. If you got it from me, why are you asking me if I have it? Are you asking if I have the scan of it? Anyways, let me know, Robert. Aranga, good to see you. Good to see you, man. No worries. Did you kick the brown guy off the show? No. I explained earlier. He was on his way home on a flight, and a bird hit the plane, and they had to turn around, so he couldn't make it. So that's basically what happened. There you go. But thanks for showing up, man. Okay, I see you there. There we go. So, Robert, you're wondering if I had it to show. No, I don't. There's just way too many things to show that we probably will not be able to get through tonight anyways, Robert. So that's why,
This beautiful page. Wow.
I love it. Let me see what else we got here. Let me get this off and go back in. Okay, just real quick. An example of a piece that Mike did it's a creator-owned project. He always felt like everybody was doing their own creator-owned stuff, so he figured his friend, he'd get together with his friend Mike Carey, who's a very good writer himself, and he came up. They both together came up with this concept of 2 girls, one in America, one in England, and they decide to swap houses for like a little while, so they can each vacation in the other's country, kind of thing. And then the American girl goes to when she goes to the house in England. There's all kinds of sort of spooky, scary things hunting the house or whatever, and so on and so forth. But,
so this is subtle, but look at the blades on the keys.
Oh yes,
one is an old English style key blade, and the other is an American like standard lock that we would have at our doors. Yeah, exactly.
Great call.
Exactly.
I mean, God, the design here. I mean, I don't pretend to know Mike's thought process, but I would be willing to bet that the vast majority of the time that went into this piece was conceiving it.
Yeah. Good observation. And I of course I love all the pencil shading on the faces of the girls. It's like, is it that realistic feel to it, really cool. Okay, so from here, he killed himself basically because he, of course, as I said earlier, he's always been on exclusive contracts, and so the only way that Marvel allowed him to do that is they said, well, as long as you can continue to put out your monthly product for us, you do what you want, that's no problem. Go do your creator-owned thing. So he had to do it, 7 days a week for like, I think 4 or 5 months, 7 days a week, no weekends off, working like 15-hour day insanity just to get that done, And then, so after Deathlock, he jumps onto Carnage. And I just wanted to show this one example. I think it's the only example. But I just love this splash. I wanted it at the time. And of course, because I never took, I didn't take first dibs. I let somebody else have it. And I've been sort of wishing I could have it ever since then. But never been a massive Carnage fan. But the thing about Mike, when I was happy when he said he was going to be doing the series, because he himself said, I'm not really a fan of the symbiotes. right? But they pitched it to him because when he, just before doing this title, he had pitched a Tomb of Dracula series. He wanted to revive Tomb of Dracula. And he figured, he would be perfect for that, right? For all these reasons, right? And they said no, but we have this idea for a new Carnage relaunch where it's kind of like Tomb of Dracula, where basically he's on the run and all these people are hunting him down or trying to hunt him down. So it's similar to, Tomb of Dracula. And so that's why he said, oh, yeah, okay, I guess so, whatever. And the thing about the symbiotes for me is when I look back at the late 80s, early 90s, like Bagley, Carnage stuff. And I say this as a big fan of Mark Bagley. But when I see that stuff and I look at this stuff that Mike did, for me, this character, just anything like symbiote related, seems so much more interesting if it was treated like horror, as if it was a combination horror science fiction movie type thing, rather than a superhero and a supervillain. If you guys get what I'm saying, like
it's the horror element for sure that I think that really like separates that, because I am, and I don't think I've been shy about this, I am not a fan of Mark Bagley in any stretch of the imagination.
Okay.
And so I think like to contradict the two against one another, the horror element in that last piece, like the Perkins piece, is what jumps out. And then in addition, you get like, realism is maybe not the right word, but there is an element, because it's like scarier, where you like take the superhero element a little bit out of it, and like as a result I feel like it's a little bit like, I don't know, more interesting.
Right. Yeah. I that's how I feel anyways,
Well,
so yeah.
thank goodness. I mean, we all dodged a bullet that he didn't get to do Tomb of Dracula, right? Because then people would start to compare him to Gene Colan, and
we don't want that.
Yeah, God forbid, right?
Yeah.
Right.
No, that would have been cool. He actually he had done, because he pitched it. He had done an illustration for the pitch or whatever, but it didn't even occur to me that I should include it tonight or whatever. But
you should put that up sometime, please. That would be really cool.
I'll show you privately if you want to see it, Okay, so I think now, guys, everybody watching, I am going to cycle through a bunch of images without stopping too much so we can get through a bunch more.
Got my horn.
Oh God, but I feel like it's so tough because I feel like I got to talk about everything. Anyways, just really quickly, this was like an 8-page story with Greg Rucka where the Black Widow, I guess we call her Natasha because they're out of costume. She goes undercover as a ballerina because, of course, she as everybody knows,
is a ballerina,
right? Everybody knows the origin. She's a ballerina. This is at the what's the whatchamacallit center in New York?
Javits?
No, not the Javits. No. I forget right now. But anyways,
next.
I just thought it was really beautiful page because they're going back and forth. It's funny too because they're going back and forth. She's telling Steve, the ballet is wonderful, and he's like, but it's just crap. It's just entertainment for elite rich people kind of thing, And she's trying to convince him, no, it's beautiful, and he's like, look, I came from the slums in Brooklyn or wherever it was, anyways, whatever. It's just, I just thought it was nice. A nice little story. So I figured
great staging, incredible storytelling, beautiful art.
And here we have, so this is a page, pretty sort of a typical action page from the Iron Fist series, from the third arc, of course, with Sabretooth. So I thought that was pretty fun. Then we move on to this one. Love the foreshortening on the arm, the hand on the top panel there. That's kind of what I love the most about it. But also the two faces at the bottom and the bottom two panels, Sparrow at the bottom. I love the fact that she's essentially like a blind, I guess. She's always wearing that bandana covering her eyes. But I love the fact that how he used the dry brush so that it gives the not only the texture of the bandana, but that you could see the contours of the shape of the face, the eyes, the nose.
Yeah.
With nothing but
it's a veil. It's more like a veil. So it looks, the dry brushing makes it look thin and crepey, like it is.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. It was not Rockefeller Center, but hey, Mikhail.
Okay.
Well, get on.
Well, get on if you want. Lincoln
ML
Center.
or MF.
I believe that no, not Juilliard, but I think it was Lincoln Center. I believe it was. Not MSG. I know she's fixing her hair.
Real quick though.
Yeah.
And this might be the minority view, but like what I love about this page is the 3 absolutely blacked out columns striking through those characters' power effects.
Oh, yeah.
That's a great graphical element.
Yeah. That was the first thing that grabbed me too. Yeah, Chris, absolutely. Just let's put, shafts of black down the center panel of this thing, Yeah.
And no problem, Mikhail. I understand you just got in. Whatever. Have a good night's rest, man. That's
boo-hoo, Mikhail.
All right. So here we have a 2 pages from I think it was 13 or 11 page story that he did in the Black Panther annual 4 years back. I don't know. I don't even know what to say. We don't have time to talk about everything. I love it, and that's all I wanted to say. So
can I just real quick though?
Of course.
Like this has turned, like that page on the left, especially. So this has turned into what he's doing now.
Right. Oh yeah, exactly.
Stylistically.
Yeah, exactly. This is it really starts to really hit its stride right here towards the end of his Marvel run, because going from there we go to this one, and this was I think an 8-page story, and it was the final thing he did at Marvel, which is very ironic in that, of course, he used himself as he mentioned earlier today. He often uses himself as the model. And that's supposed to be Foggy Nelson. Now, in most of the pages, he does kind of make him look more foggy-ish, and sort of you can still tell it's him, but it still kind of looks half Foggy, half Mike. But in this one, this is the final page, I was like, oh, come on, dude. You did that on purpose. It does not look anything like Foggy. That's all you.
I've met Mike in person. Yes, that middle panel on the right, that is Mike Perkins.
Yeah, and I just love the irony of him sort of. He's actually waving the kid behind him off, right? He's got the hand up, but it's kind of cool that because it looks like he's saying goodbye, which is kind of ironic because, of course, it's the last thing he did for Marvel, and he's moving on to DC. So, I just thought that was really cool, and of course, I love that cool. Top panel. Also, very, very, very cool.
Yeah. As awesome as Daredevil is, it's the skyscrapers behind him, like those washed skyscrapers with the sort of the heat of the city dissipating from it, kind of fogging it up. I mean, that's
bleached out.
Yes, it's astonishing. That is just amazingly beautiful, with sort of washed out enough as though it were capturing the lights and diffusing them. The light sources are the buildings themselves there, of course, and it's just diffusing them to make the whole thing washed. Just really, really good.
And talk about making a colorist's life easy.
Yeah.
That's or like hard. Drag and drop.
Yeah.
And let's see. So interesting. CJ says this is fine art with comic characters blended in. That's a high compliment, CJ. And I guess with all of us being very, very, very respectful to illustration, I think all of us would agree to that, and not only for Mike's work, but a lot of comic book work, right? It's that much respect that we show to this art form.
Alex Maleev is another practitioner of that, I think, where you see some of his architectural portrayals and things like that, and it's like, wow, he had a great time drawing that arch. Oh, and he stuck Moon Knight in it because he had to or whatever. So someone made that comment this morning about the Barry Windsor Smith panel of trees or a plate of trees, and then stuck death in there because he wanted to sell it. But it strikes me like maybe Mike Perkins just loves drawing buildings and lights and things, and he has to put Daredevil in or something like that. I don't know. It's a gift either way. We'll take it, but it's a really good point. It's like fine art with comic characters put in, put, perfectly put.
And not to, I guess, bag on, but Comic Art Boston's comment about the use of ink wash for depth, yes. I would add it's not only depth, it's emphasis, right? Because look how pushing those buildings back, like it serves so many different purposes. I mean, Jason's absolutely right. It's the light, right? It's the luminescence of the buildings and, that, but it also pumps Daredevil, right?
Yeah.
Like he pushes Daredevil visually.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Let us go and move on to the next few. I'm going to skip a few more here, guys, just because for the interest of time, to try to get through as many of these as we can. And so now, of course, we start. I feel bad having to skip now because now we're starting his DC run, which is only a few years ago, but it's okay. We've got so much stuff. But I'll show these for a few seconds. But again, guys, if you absolutely need to say something, tell me and I'll go back. So this was the first thing he started to do for DC, Green Lantern Annual. Then does a 5 issues of an 8-issue arc for Green Lanterns, the Green Lantern series, and he finished off that series. It was going to be canceled. I just love this, and I love images of the lantern powering up or whatever. So I thought that was beautiful.
Yeah, he's augmenting his usual tones, his washes there with a lot of the spirals and a lot of that stuff. I mean, he's got like white paint or white pen there just to make electricity or the lantern energy arcing through that, like as if it weren't beautiful enough. Let's just pop that. It just is stunning. Yeah, sorry.
And Romita Sr. would have redrawn the head on the last one.
You can always say that, Marcus. He never saw a female head. He couldn't do better.
And Larry, he has, I wouldn't say painted. I mean, no, he back in the 90s when he was working on, what's that name of that title again? An independent company. Sorry, it's just I'm blanking right now. He did paint one cover, I remember. But typically, no, he has colored some of his, black and white originals at times. But again, that's pretty rare. He's not typically a painter.
Look at the lunar surface in panel 3 there. I mean, that's just amazing. That's like, it reminds me
of why.
Yeah.
Why did he do that?
It reminds me of Gerhard's work, in the, like right around the issue 100 of Cerebus, where Cerebus goes up to the moon, right? And there's just all of these amazing astronomical, astronomical.
Gerhard's in retrograde.
Yeah.
But Aranga, if that means you've left or you're leaving, have a good night, man.
I think that's a dig on DC.
Oh, I see.
Which makes me want to punch you in the side of the head, Aranga.
Yeah, I thought it was a great GL arc too, Larry. I thought it was really, really fun. Of course, I'm biased because I love Cyborg Superman. But yeah, I really liked it. Show the Cyborg. I didn't want to put a bunch of my stuff, so I didn't put any of my Cyborg Superman stuff. And also, I felt there's no need to, since it's all those Cyborg Superman pieces they're in my gallery on CAF. So figured why bother, Aranga says, he's saying hello. Hey, Neil, good to see you. Good evening, my friend. And you missed out on the Swamp Thing show earlier. You just realized it? That's funny. I hope you didn't just realize it. But you can always watch it on Rewind. Remember, Neil, go back and watch it on Rewind. I think it was a lot of fun. So I suggest you check it out. And one more question. Did all the Perkins Swamp Thing issues? Almost. I believe there's the cover and maybe 2 interior pages, I think, are still left.
Wow, big show.
I'll have them on the website in a couple of days. Thinking of DC's Paradox Press? No, Derek. Hi, Derek, by the way. Hi again. No, that's not it. No, it wasn't DC that I was thinking about. If punching's happening, nominate James to arm wrestle you. I don't know who he's talking to right now.
Arm wrestling has rules, homeboy.
Okay. Let's move on to the artwork here. All right. So this one, I just wanted to show this one in particular, simply because I don't know if you guys notice. So either Jason or Chris or anybody in the chat, anybody notice anything? I don't even know how to say particular. Just something. Okay, I'll even be more specific about panel 2 and panel 4. Anything stand out at you? Anything come to mind when you look at either panel 2 or panel 4?
That they're Neil Adams pastiches.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I say that for the bottom one. Yeah, it's got that Neil Adams pastiche thing happening, which is kind of fun. But no, the second one, it's not Neil Adams pastiche. Come on, we talked about it earlier.
It's Mike?
No. It's about the style I'm talking about. No, you don't see it?
No.
Kevin Nolan.
Oh.
A little bit. Okay, I get it. The lips, the eyes.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. And Comic Guard Boston says Mike is diligence personified. It helps that he pencils and inks, but then again, he used it to his disadvantage, in my view. Amazing detail. Yes, very nice. And I'm sure if he ever watches this, he will be very, very happy to see that comment, even though he's embarrassed and probably blushing as he's doing it. Yes, exactly, CJ. On the bottom one, at least, certainly for me. Robert says exactly the same thing. Cool. Let me move on to the next one. And so now he goes on to Lois Lane. And so we got these pieces. So that's the cover to number 1 and the last page to the first issue. Just wanted to show representative pieces of this. I really enjoyed the series, really loved it, both artistically and story-wise. Although I was pissed off, or anybody who read it, and you can tell me if you felt the same way, they introduced this brand new character called the Kiss of Death, like a female assassin type, and she's got a skull for a head, and she has she hides it by putting on, whatever, some kind of a mask of a little girl or something,
mask,
young girl. Yeah, and I was like, oh, that's badass, oh man, I can't wait. She's gonna be cool if they use her as like a recurring character in other DC titles in the future, And then in the end, I don't know, for whatever reason, why creators do this sometimes, but Rucka just changed his mind at the end, and he sort of changed the whole idea of the story, and he tied her into, he made her become, that girl that the Question had a little affair with in this.
I remember this.
Remember that?
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
I was gonna say, actually, the like arcing smoke from the Superman burn on the paper is the question mark for Renee Montoya too.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I mean, full disclosure, I'm a huge Vic Sage fan, so Renee
Montoya
cool. has never done much for me as far as the Question is concerned. But as far as like her role in this series, like, 1, necessary, and 2, like, probably her best treatment.
I haven't read everything, but like I said, I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was really well done by both Rucka and Mike. So
yeah, I think as far as like the art is concerned, the cover design on that piece you just showed on that left hand, that cover is top notch. I mean, incredible.
Totally. And about, like, I loved the covers of Lois Lane. I thought deserve their own little footnote here, at least of discussion, because they're really great. You can see that he's used his pencil again to go in and tone the faces and the hands and everything. And I caught on at about, I don't know, issue 4 or 5, that everything on every cover except for this first one, where you've got the yellow highlights of the S, it's all black and white and red all over, just like that old joke about a newspaper, right?
Yep.
And I was like, really? That can't be right. And I waited for another couple of months. Sure enough, I just thought it was hilarious. I thought it was really, really good. And yeah, to Chris's point about that, the question mark showing up in the ash there, or in the smoke, excuse me. It just, and I mean,
nice touch.
And the Drake in the background again, these buildings, and I think, Chris, you were mentioning earlier about the way, what a great choice it is to have Mike illustrate these stories that are kind of not emotion based, but there's not a lot of superheroes running around in this story.
They're human,
right? Exactly. And so it's going to be these human moments that kind of they're informed by a higher truth rather than I need to punch this guy in the nose, right? It's sort of kind of about it. It really played to Mike's strengths because it was about kind of the suspense, and it was a big mystery. And there were some
there's like a theater to it.
Yes, perfect. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And like you're about to say, Jason, there's no superheroes in it. And sure, we all know that Superman appeared in a couple of issues or whatever.
You could argue the Question's a superhero, but
right.
And even Vic Sage showed up too. I mean, he had 2 questions.
Right.
2 questions about this.
Right. Exactly.
That's
And
about the series.
let me let me move on to the next piece, because it is just again I cropped 3 panels that I just loved from a particular page, and yeah, I just loved it. That's all.
Ruben likes panels of people kissing, is what I'm gleaning from this.
It's just they're very cinematic. It just feels very
Ruben.
You know what I mean? Like they're very cinematic, and it just I like emotion in the art, and when the artist can capture the precise emotion they're like you can tell the emotion, what happiness, sadness, whatever, right? There's any number of different emotions, and just if you've ever been anybody who's been in these types of moments, you can relate to it, right? That what she's feeling, right? Just by looking at her face like that. So
interestingly too. So I mean, again, I guess as credit to Mike, I've had 2 different art teachers over the years, 1 an anatomy teacher and 2 an illustration teacher tell me that there are 2 very, very difficult things to draw. One is 2 people touching one another, and the other is a person on an animal or touching an animal.
Hey, Daryl.
The fact that you're highlighting, I think, these kissing panels, this is an illustration challenge.
Yeah.
And he's solving it. He's nailed it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Am I the only one who really likes these types of moments? I mean, I think if they're not really sort of well done, I mean, then I don't want to look at them, right? But when they're really well done, it's just man, I just love them,
It's all about that human connection, and between Clark and Lois. I mean, that's. Yeah. I mean, right. I guess it's polarizing. Like maybe some people hate the fact.
Thanks, Rick.
Together to this extent, and some people love it. And I'm of that camp. I think it's really interesting. I think I'm an older person, and that the dynamic of a relationship, a realistic relationship in a comic book, interests me. And but to see him, illustrate this moment here, and the way that he uses the camera pushes in a little close, and it's all part of that storytelling that brings out this very real connection between very real characters, as written here, and by many other great writers. And the way it's illustrated, it's gentle, and it makes you smile. It's just a sincere, a genuine moment. It's just
yeah. All right, Aranga. I'm just human. That's what I'll say.
Unlike Aranga.
I'm just okay, and let us go to this one, because I know that Jason is going to want to speak here again, and then we're soon going to get into Swamp Thing, and because there's so many Swamp Thing images, I will have to blow through quite a lot of them fairly quickly, but that's fine. Let us get there with this one. Jason, what do you got to say about this?
Sure. Well, anyone can chip in. I don't mean to dominate in the conversation.
No. I want you to dominate.
It's again what Eric said about too much or not enough black on the page. Like the more you got, the better. And this is a case. I loved the storytelling nature here, because the goal story-wise on this left page is to sort of show the fear of this criminal, right? And that's done by many levels here. Not only by the angle looking down at the criminal and you see his eye right there, but because of the shape that light is, that the light spilling out of it's sort of a Rorschach shape, right? And that, I think, not even unconsciously, it makes the viewer think of Rorschach and his from Watchmen, of course, with his rather unorthodox questioning protocol of criminals and stuff like that. So that, I think, invests a little fear into the reader, going, oh wow, this could get, where's he going with this? This could get, where he being Mike with it, like, is this going to turn nasty? What's going to happen? And then but then Rorschach is, of course, the template that was built off of the Charlton hero, The Question, which was, Dick Grayson. So it all sort of feeds into itself in this lovely little this lovely little piece of irony, where it's The Question here, but talking like Rorschach, which is also The Question. And I just really liked it. I just thought that they were just really, really beautiful storytelling pages. And then that shot of Renee in the bottom right, on the bottom of that second page is just
I've got nothing to say, because you say it beautifully yourself. I mean, everything you said is what I think, right? So I've got nothing to add. It's just I love this whole sequence. And like I said, it was actually as you remember, a 3-page sequence. And you bought the second and the third one. But yeah, and what I loved, and unfortunately I don't have the show, but the first page, what I liked about it is on the first page, if I'm not mistaken, she's grinning. And again, what I love about that is when you have a character who essentially has a mask that, how do you describe
no face?
There's no face, right? And you just use subtle shadows to sort of delineate the nose, the mouth, just enough so that you could see that, under the mask, she's grinning now or smiling or whatever, Yeah.
Well, and I think so. What's great about this to me is that if you juxtapose Perkins' question versus, let's say, Cowan question, the expression or the lack of expression is telling, right? So Mike does more here with tilt, with angle, with body language than he normally probably would have to because of the absence of the facial features. But in addition, this is more, and I don't want to say this disparagingly against Cowan, but this is more expressive question than Cowan on Vic's age.
Right. Well, okay, but in fairness, can we agree that I guess the main reason to explain that is for something as simple as the fact that the approach to each artist's approach,
night and day.
Right, exactly, right.
Yes.
And Mike's is more based in that old school illustrative realism,
right?
Which of course is going to help you get that effect. Whereas, Cowan, who again I will also just to put it out there, I love and I've always loved Dennis Cowan's work.
Same.
And that's so I think that's probably why,
No, I'm a huge Cowan fan, and honestly, the way I came to the question was through O'Neill and Cowan on questions. So yeah, huge fan. Also, just real quick before we move on, and not to take anything away from Jason, I highlighted this page on the left on the CAF update because
I remember.
This is fucking tremendous.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, so I just wanted to quickly answer a couple of questions. So Larry, is Renee a villain here? No, you should read it though. It's a pretty good story, very enjoyable, Larry. And no, it's just that these are like Russian mobsters, I guess. Jason, is that what they were? I can't remember.
Isn't this also Leviathan related?
Sort of, it gets into that. But this moment in this question is that there was a hit at one point put out on Lois, and it ended up killing this other person. And so the question is trying to, and Lois said to Superman, "Hey, I can take care of myself. I don't need your help." And so she got the question to come in and sort of be her muscle, and a couple of other women that come in a little bit later in the run.
So look at the top panel on the left. Like there's a Leviathan in the Rodor smoke.
I mean,
squid.
Maybe that was around that time. I can't.
It was. There's still a beautiful.
Oh, you know what? Yes. Because I remember somewhere it was somewhere around issue 5, 6, 7 of Lois Lane where there was the whole Leviathan tying in whatever. Yeah. So you're right, Chris.
Totally. Was 6 the memorial with Lois's?
Oh, that's right, because that was the right. That was right. That's okay. Thank you for the reminder. Exactly. So what had happened was that they were doing the whole Leviathan tie-in thing, and so all of a sudden they made Rucka and Mike have to change their plans, and so that issue number 6, where Lois's father dies, right, and they go to the wake, that wasn't originally planned. They weren't going to do anything with that, but they had to do something to delay until so they could tie it in on the right month with the whole Leviathan thing.
Okay, because I think Sam Lane did die. I think in Event Leviathan. But
no worries, Larry.
Right. But also to that point,
exactly.
Ruben has a dynamite. Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt, Ruben. I'm sorry.
No. Go ahead.
Okay, Ruben has a dynamite page in his gallery from Lois Lane number 6, where Lois finally is able to relax and accept the grief with Clark there. It's absolutely stunning. I'm surprised you didn't put that in, Ruben, because I mean it's an incredible page.
But like I was telling Larry earlier, right, when he was asking if I'm going to show the all the Cyborg Superman pieces from that Green Lantern run, because I pretty much got all the splashes from it. No, I mean, there are some pieces in here that I've shown that are mine, sure, right? But I didn't want to fill all of my stuff, right? I'd rather give some love to all the other collectors that have bought Mike's art, right? And like I said, since mine is already, my art is that page is certainly in my calf gallery. Yeah, go to my calf gallery, right? The good, which is a good time to say, the link is right down below in the description. Same thing for Jason and Chris.
Thank you.
Yes, of course. All our links are down below if you want to access them quickly and immediately. There you go. And just wanted to really highlight really quick, guys. Let me see. Oh God, yeah. Because when you finished speaking about the page, Jason, Comic Art Boston said, "Amazing. Ruben has nothing to add." Yeah, thanks. I'll remember that.
It's the equivalent of Ruben saying, "Oh, I really, really wanted this page. Let me talk about it a little bit." And then like at the drop this morning, that happened a bunch of times.
And Comic Art Boston says that was there was another tender scene which Mike handles. Well, there's many, but I also want to say that Comic Art Boston, that issue that we're talking about, number 6, where they had to sort of do a fill-in with the General Lane's death. Comic Art Boston ended up getting the cover to that. And that was a beautiful, beautiful cover. Where she's standing there in the rain and her hair is just matted from the wet, right? All the water. It's just beautifully done. And she's holding the flag, I believe, right? The folded of flag. Oh man, that was just gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Yeah. Okay. So I need. Hold on, Daryl, need more Perkins. Well, there you go. That's why we're trying to show 100 pieces, which I don't know if we'll ever make, but that's what we're trying to do. Okay, so let me go to the images again. Let us get out of here. And boy, we spent a lot of time on that one, but we're definitely going to have to rifle through many of those Swamp Things. So I did want to show one last Lois Lane, simply because I wanted the fans, in case they weren't aware, just to see, give them an example of what Mike's work on handling Batman would look like, because of course he was when he went to this DC, some of you guys, probably most of you don't know, he was brought to DC by Dan DiDio in order to take over one of the Batman books, pretty much. And something happened at Marvel. They said that he still hadn't completed his contract. He had to stick around 3 extra months. That kind of blew the schedule over at DC, and that's why plans changed, and that's why he hasn't been able to do a Batman book since then. But so that's it. But at least he got to draw him here in the Lois Lane a bit. So, and
in Christopher H's gallery, if you check it out, he's got Lois Lane number 9, page 6, which is the one immediately preceding that one on the right. And it's great. It's almost a splash page. There's one small inset at the top, but it's the Question sitting there with Batman behind her, and it's stunning. It's beautiful. I mean, the city behind it's really, really great. You should check that out.
So Daryl, Mike said this morning he'd like to do a Batman. Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, exactly.
Who wouldn't?
Exactly. And Larry also says Mike needs to be put on a Batman book. Yeah, exactly. Well, like I said, that was the plan initially. When he on going to leaving Marvel for DC, that was going to be the first thing that he was supposed to do. So,
I mean, you don't even need to. Yeah, I mean, you can see everything he's ever done to understand that why he's a Batman artist, right?
Yeah.
I mean, even if you just put him in the same milieu as Michael Lark and the guys that he worked alongside with on Captain America, it absolutely makes sense why he's a Batman artist.
Yeah. Oh no, for sure. And Daryl want to buy the first Batman cover. Yeah, so will Daryl David Bixler.
Yeah,
a whole bunch of guys. We'll see what happens. But okay, let's get on with the art. So from here, he did. He was just about to. They're talking about doing Swamp Thing, perhaps. He needed something to tide him over, so he decided to do this one shot, 48-page one shot. I loved it, because I just love I love this whole idea for those of you who don't know, Tales from the Dark Multiverse. It's basically, I guess you can call it kind of like a DC's answer to What If from Marvel. Yeah. But of course with a a darker bent, which is why it's called the Dark Multiverse. A lot of characters end up dying in these things, and sometimes very horrifically. Yeah, so that was a really, really fun book, and yeah, I really enjoyed the JSA. So for me, it was really special. And yeah, this piece is, of course, Comic Art Boston's collection. So
nice.
I highlighted this on the weekend, the weekly update too.
Yeah, I remember.
So I'm gonna let Jason should go off.
Just the Spectre. I mean, that is it. Just, oh my gosh, talk about adding dimension to this piece, right? Where you have all of these incredible, the inked figures in the front, and you almost have a feeling of hope, right? And then there's the Spectre way in back, and that wash just makes it very spectral, and just adding just a dimension. It's breathtaking. It just, and the Spectre's not happy. I mean, the Spectre is never happy, but I mean, that is a very powerful piece. Awesome job, Comic Art Boston. Great pickup. Wow.
Yeah, that was a beauty. And then just one more example, just a panel page, just because I loved it. This is one of the pages, again, I wanted to buy, and I was hoping nobody would buy it, but of course somebody did buy it. But I especially love that top panel. The faces on Huntress and Green Lantern. Oh man. And wagging the finger, pointing like that, and Surtur at the bottom, basically acting like Moses, and spreading the ocean in half. Yeah, that's that. Yeah, I just love it. But especially that top panel. I wanted to buy it just for that top panel. So yeah, very cool. But of course, that's in Brandon Coffey's collection, who you can see on CAF. Now let me just. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Real quickly before we leave this page, I really appreciate it when an artist is effectively able to show age.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
So whether the character is young or whether they're old or whatever, wherever in between, and Alan Scott in that top panel, that's an old man.
Yep.
Yeah. Well done.
Yeah. Oh no, yeah, absolutely. I absolutely get that. Yeah. Well, but wouldn't you say that is, kind of a necessity? And again, it's not to say that everybody has it.
It is.
But wouldn't you say it is, or it should be a requirement? Like, you should know how to properly show age.
I guess my comment is about how effective are you at it?
Right.
Because you could even, and this is not, again, I feel like I'm sorry, comparing and contrasting a lot of artists against one another.
No, that's fine.
Like,
it's fine.
Even if you talk about Perez, right? Who unequivocally, like, master of the medium, right?
Sorry, who did you say? Oh, Perez? Yeah.
The Titans could have looked younger.
Right.
Giffen on Legion.
Sure.
The Legionnaires could have looked younger. And we're talking about guys who are established masters of comic book art, right? So what I'm saying is, like, people who are really good at portraying the age of a character accurately, like, tons of respect for that.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
And consistently too. Like not just in the big splashes, but I mean either in the body language or the facial features in subsequent panels, just to make it a consistent.
Yeah, to stay on model.
Yeah, it's a great point, Chris.
Yeah. And hey, good evening, Ronald. Thank you for dropping by again. I appreciate it. Okay, so let us go on now to, this is where, Swamp Thing, the work on Swamp Thing begins. For anybody who doesn't know, for anybody who only maybe perhaps read the regular series, the 16 issues, the first work on Swamp Thing, not Mike's first work on Swamp Thing, because even before this, he did a couple of issues that had Swamp Thing in it. But the new Swamp Thing, this is the book, The Legend of the Swamp Thing Halloween Spectacular. It's a one-shot issue that they released for Halloween in 2020. So he did Rom and Mike bookended this Halloween Spectacular. So it was a series of, I believe, 8 different stories of 8 pages each. So Rom and Mike's first story is at the beginning. It starts the book off, and then they bookend it. And so the last story is another 8 pages. And the interesting thing is that Rom tied both stories together. They take place, I don't know, 60, 70 years apart. I don't want to give it away because it's really well done in case you guys want to go out there and try to find it and read it. But the second story, the second 8 pages at the back of the book, is the first time we see the Levi Kamei Swamp Thing. His name is not mentioned, but Swamp Thing is talking to one of the trees and from the Parliament, and the tree basically tells him in the story, because he's struggling to sort of form himself properly. You know, he doesn't know what's going on, and you can tell he's not the Alec Holland Swamp Thing, because he's just struggling. And yeah, the tree just sort of tells him, you are a new Swamp Thing. You are not who you think you were, or something like that, to that effect, you know? So really fantastic. And just wanted to say, it's the first work they did. And from here, they did the 2-part future state story, which takes place in the far future, but so worth reading, guys, because for anybody who has read the regular series, the 16-issue series, can tell you that. And let me come back here for a second so we can make eye contact. So that 2-parter was the beginning of Rom and Mike infusing. It's sort of infusing their love for Alan Moore and Bissett and Toddlebin's run, right from back in the day, into this run. Future State is a must read. It's wonderful. And I don't want to say too much, just because I want you guys to go out there and read it. If you haven't read it, you should read it. You'll see why. You should notice. Although, even for me, it became apparent that there was this Alan Moore thing going on. Only at the end of the second issue, I suddenly was like, whoa, wait a second. I don't want to say what I realized, but whatever. Yeah. But you guys should read that too. And that's where they begin. So right after the 2-part Future State, they start the regular ongoing series. Yes, go ahead, Jason. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. I was just going to say, I love that second panel on that page before.
Oh,
it's like the point of view is really great. Not only do you have basically the equivalent of that Iron Fist page where you've got the big black, ceiling supports, the big black columns that go through it. You've got all of those leaves right there, and something is looking at the people in there, perfectly lit. Your eye goes directly there, and then next panel you find out you are the Swamp Thing in that view, right? You are looking through that brush, those bushes, right at the Fisher people. So it's just beautiful. It's just beautiful cinematography, great storytelling, well staged, and then that bottom panel is just amazing with the wildlife and I mean, I got a scene of it's just great.
Yeah. I love this page. Is another page that I wanted to get. I wish I could get, but yeah, I don't even remember who has it now. But yeah, the whole this is the thing that plays to the strengths of Mike's approach to art. Right. I mean, he uses, almost exclusively a brush all the time. So that's a very organic method of inking. And
yeah.
All right, that tool. I mean, what can be, and when you're talking about, what's the right fit for an artist? Well, what can be better than something where the setting is organic? So the swamp, right? So yeah, I mean, that's why the character was a perfect fit for him. The swamp setting's fantastic. I mean, all the foliage. That bird flying by at the bottom while he's just sort of walking through the swamp, and the trees in the background, and the distance, the middle ground, the background. Oh,
that's what I was just gonna say, Ruben. Like, yeah. You're spot on when you talk about like the tool and the the brush being the right tool for the environment, but also like you can't talk about this piece at all without talking about the graphical. I don't know, the graphical tools, I guess, that he applies here too, because to your point, talking about middle ground, foreground, background, that second panel that Jason just talked about.
Right.
So yeah, we're the viewer, right? So we're the pair of eyes that are looking into the scene on that second panel, which also, by the way, is the backdrop for the entire page, which is another super fucking cool effect.
Yeah.
But yeah, the leaves that are right in front of you, they're dark, and then you have the figures in the middle ground, and then you have that like vacant space and the very sketchy, washy, tree or whatever that is in the way background. So like,
right,
the depth that he's bringing to this, ostensibly, I don't want to say meaningless, but like there's not a lot happening on this page, right? Like Swamp Thing's not slugging it out with with a Floronic Man or whatever. Like this is establishing stuff. This is storytelling.
Don't forget the reflection of the fisherman in the water there. Which
yes,
it's just crazy. Beautiful, crazy in the best possible way. It is just absolutely superb.
And like before I'm sorry, but before we go any further, like in my opinion, and you can feel free to dissent or tell me to go pound sand or whatever, but like this run on Swamp Thing is Mike Perkins's defining career moment, and that's. Maybe that's just me, whatever. I feel like it's not, but it's insane from start to finish.
Yeah. I agree. And I think a lot of people who have read and looked at Swamp Thing agree as well. And although I will say, and this, it sounds cliche to say this because a lot of artists say this for sure, that, my best stuff is the current project I'm doing,
maybe it is.
And
maybe it is.
And I will say, I got to be, in all honesty, I say this. I don't say this to blow smoke. We can go back to, when he was on Captain America, I was like, this is the best thing you've ever done. Oh my God. And at the time, clearly it was, because most of what he had done before, he wasn't inking himself anyway. So it wasn't really his vision. But then, he goes on and he does a few things with other inkers. It's not the same, right? It's just not the same. But when he's allowed to do his own stuff again, okay, he does the Stand. And when he did the Stand, while he was on the Stand, that became even better than Cap. I was like, I didn't think it could get better, but man, this is great. If you take a look, like on my website, if you just go through all the galleries of all the Stand pages, you're going to be like, wow, that's really great. And again, and it just went on and he'd jump onto some other title, and then I'd be like, damn, this is at least as good, and maybe in some spots better, so I keep feeling like he has continued to evolve and get better and better, even if it's just slightly with each title.
Some guys don't, some guys don't. So unbelievable, tremendous amount of credit to Mike for continuing to, certainly he's not at that age where it's like, oh, he's lost a step, like
like a lot of guys, right?
That. And he could continue to climb and climb and climb. But in my opinion, right now, Swamp Thing is career best to this point.
Yes.
Completely 100% agree.
Yes, I agree.
Comic Art Boston says it well. A defining moment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And he says, hopefully he keeps raising the bars against himself. Yeah, exactly. Well, like I said earlier, Comic Art Boston in today's show, I'm not sure if you were there for that. He showed me the pages for his he's doing a stopgap little stint on Action Comics before his next project, which he's not allowed to announce yet, hasn't been announced. And he showed me the art for his first Action issue, and it's got the what do you call it, the New Gods. And I was like, what? Oh my God. Like, look, I've seen so many artists draw the New Gods, and it's always, it's cool, whatever, it's fine, it's good, whatever. I'm not some huge New Gods fan by any means, right? But again, and I go, this goes to his approach, his style, right? The illustrative realism. I'm looking at these pages with these New Gods like Metron and all the popular ones, right? The well-known ones. I'm like, I can believe that these guys actually exist now. With every other artist, they've been drawn just fine, but they're so out there and crazy looking, these costumes that they wear and whatever, that you're in a comic book kind of thing, if you know what I mean, right? And I'm looking at his Action pages with these guest appearances of the New Gods, and I'm just like, man, I could see this like either in a live action movie. I could see these guys coming down like Metron on that Mobius chair, flying down and landing outside my door. Like, it looks so good.
Hopefully not.
I can't wait to show them, man. I can't wait to show them. It's amazing. So
I think that. Sorry, go ahead, Jason.
I just wanted to say, to finish that off, that I'm saying that because what we were saying about that right now, definitely it's Swamp Thing, right? But I'm telling you, I don't know. I'll see when I get a better look and I can look at them longer. But when I get those Superman pages, I may be like, God, some of these pages are even better than that's, you know what I mean? You just don't know, right? So we'll see. Yeah. Go ahead, guys.
I was just going to say that, getting back to the Carnage bit where I said, like, maybe realism isn't the word, but I mean, maybe it is. I mean, I think that's a strong element of what Mike has going.
Yeah. And I felt the same way, Ruben, when you were talking about the verisimilitude of the New Gods, right? How it just all of a sudden just they seem real. I felt the same way about the Suicide Squad in issue 6 and 7 of Swamp Thing, where, they show up and it's sort of like, oh, well, in the movie, they're kind of doofy and everything like that, and it's like, that's not the case here. Like, this is, I completely am looking forward to the
excellent
seeing the New Gods. And that's the real reason to become an art rep, kids. I was going to see all the art early.
All right. So let me go on and show one example from the aforementioned Future State two-parter. These pages hint at what I was speaking about the tie-in to Alan Moore. You guys can just guess if you want, but I'm not going to mention it. But I own the one on the right. Brian Peck owns the one on the left. And the inset panels on the left page, that's from the back. It's a back shot of the Statue of Liberty.
Right.
That's what you're looking at there at the top of the statue. But yeah, I like, again, this is one of those pages where on the left, I'm like, why would you do that? Why? You don't need to do that. Certainly not the background. And what's funny is, coincidentally, when you look at the published version, somebody at DC, they dropped out the background. They were like, oh yeah, we don't need the background, so they only kept that, the main central figure.
Yeah, this is like 18th century medical textbook.
Yes.
Meets Wrightson's Frankenstein.
Yes.
Yeah. It's That's that's what they were going for.
Well, they nailed it.
Yeah. That's
It makes me think of issue number 14 a little bit. I mean, that's another one of my favorites from the run, because it was such a non-standard story to tell, and the way that he told it, mostly through, where Levy turns into basically a vegetation frond to infiltrate the larger, kind of those cactus looking, the Zettel. Yeah, exactly. And he tries to introduce, I don't want to spoil it. It's really great storytelling. And a lot of the visuals, the graphics in that story are like this, where it's almost like dealing on a cellular level, just alien plant life. It's way cooler than I'm making it sound. It is astonishingly awesome. Like, how did Rom think of that? And then how did Mike up him by taking that idea and making it and fully realizing it? It's just
translating his words to the page, right?
It's the synergy of a great writer-artist team, right? You can understand.
I would love to see the script, because I mean, maybe Rom referenced like, oh, look at this page in this medical text from, whatever.
Yeah,
I would like to think no, that Mike was like, I got this.
Oh no, I don't know for a fact. I would guess though that Mike had to look something up to to use as reference for sure, for something like that, because it looks very like something that exists. You know what I mean? So
right.
And yeah, you I mean, I guess you could think of something weird and crazy looking like that, but typically you would look and try to get some kind of a reference.
Well, it's based in reality, right?
Reality.
I mean, it's based in fact, right? Like it's very like, yes, it's not real, but by the same token, like what you're looking at is, even in the story, is meant to be clinical, by and large.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing about realism and using photo ref. Like for me, look, anybody who knows anything about art knows everybody at some point or another needs to use photo ref, right? You don't have you don't have such a the average person does not have a photographic memory to the point where they can recall everything they've ever seen in great detail their whole lives, right? And a comic book artist has to know how to draw anything and everything, right? So everything. So of course everybody uses it. Now the trick, though, for me is are you able to translate that photograph, that magazine picture, whatever it is that you used, whether it was a model in front of you, can you translate it in a way so that it looks natural, but not stiff and obvious that you used, right? Like that you heavily used.
And can you make it your own?
Right. Exactly. It's your interpretation of the photo ref. That's what matters, is you got to be able to interpret it.
What I tell people is, like, on the one end, there's Alex Ross, and on the other end, there's Tim Bradstreet.
Right.
So Tim Bradstreet is taking a photograph and he's inking it. Right.
Yeah.
Alex Ross is taking a photograph and he's embellishing it, he's rendering it, he's grounding it in other, like whatever. But you're absolutely right, Ruben. Yeah,
exactly. All right. So now I'm going to go on to, so now this is where the Swamp Thing images start, guys. And we are about to hit the 2-hour mark. Now, my wonderful guests, Jason and Chris, have said that they are able to stay a bit longer if need be. I will tell you, we are not even halfway. We're maybe 5 images from the halfway point. But because from here on in, or here on out, it is all Swamp Thing art, I'm going to do a lot of fast forwarding. We'll cycle through the images a lot. We'll still stop on some of them to speak about some of them. But we'll see if we can do maybe just to keep it to an extra half hour at most. You know what I mean? Just to not keep it too long for the viewers as well, because I know I could go on for 4 hours. I'd be fine. But I know that for viewers, it's too long. And then they don't, the rewind watchers, they don't want to watch when they see, oh God, it was a 3-hour video. Whoa, forget that, So that's it. So let me cycle through a bunch real quick. As always, if you absolutely need to talk about it, we'll stop. I may even stop myself. Okay, so here we go. We start off with, from the first issue, I had to show this example of my favorite character from the last couple of years, the Pale Wanderer, and now Pale Pilgrim. Just thought that was amazing. And what I loved about this, a little bit of humor they injected into it, because in the top panels, you see the sheriff. He's like, come on out, because he's hiding behind the rock, the boulder, He's like, come on out with your hands up. And of course, he comes out holding the hands of his last victim, putting them up in the air. So that was kind of funny. I love the shadow he cast there. That's kind of cool too. But yeah, I think that's beautiful. Okay, I guess I can't cycle through this. We're going to talk about this. I'll cycle through the next few. Okay, let's talk.
Sorry, I have to say, because this one, obviously the panel, the jump scare there of the Pale Wanderer is what you would think the money shot is here, but that first panel I find even more compelling. It's just, that is a real person, right? And it's invested with, like, you just know his story, whether you've read the issue or not. Just looking at that picture, I just thought that was really, really amazing. But the thing I like the most is that I think that the way that this story is told, or how the narrative is displayed here, is really incredible, because you would think that the main scene going on would take the page, that those would not be the panels that are floated out on top of the back. Basically, this page is like one panel of the Pale Wanderer, and the other ones are set in front of it to establish the jump scare of the Wanderer. It's sort of done backwards, but in so doing this, the Wanderer's presence and the darkness that's infiltrating all of the story, and that the sheriff has had to deal with for the last issue and everything, all of these evil tendrils, they now form the foundation here. They are what the background that all the action is set on top of. It's not just, oh, there's this scary thing, and then you get the flash of the jump scare cut to the Wanderer. It's the Wanderer and what he represents in this. That is the truth of this narrative at this point, right? It is the darkness that encircles everything. It's just looking for a panel break, right? It's going to sneak in and it's going to cloud everything up here.
And it's that base level of menace.
Yes, the foundation of it. It's yes. And
excellent. I love that.
Just that page was just.
That's why I wanted you guys on. Excellent. Okay. Beautiful. Yeah. And excellent. That's why you own it now. So it's understandable.
Well
Let me
bought,
get to
by the way.
so what would you say, Chris?
Well bought.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Here's just one of the earlier images that had a fairly largish Swamp Thing. As most people who read the series know, there wasn't actually a lot of sort of classic looking Swamp Thing throughout. Because
you know what, Ruben? Not to argue,
you
but
disagree?
There were not that there weren't a lot, but I would say the ones there were like, oh damn,
right.
Like he kept it, and I have so much respect for that, because if you want to talk about a character who has been worked on by like the tippy top upper echelon of, and I'll say illustrators, I won't say comic book artists in comic books over the years, this is the guy, right? Swamp Thing is the guy. So for Perkins to hold those moments, to hold those tributes, homages, whatever you want to call them, in reserve and bust them out.
If I finish his thought here, do I get to take credit for that really, really clever thing that Chris is talking about?
Get after it.
He's with us. Whew, that was a close one. All right. This kills me to not be able to stop on these, but I'm going to go for a couple of seconds each for a little while, guys, because these were some of my favorite issues with the 3 and 4 with Poison Ivy, the visuals, and even my favorite issues for the color. So again, I'm shouting out to Mike Spicer. He had some balls with some of the color choices. These, again, the mustard yellows and oranges, all the different greens and blues, and wow. But there's too many I want to get through, so I'm just going to go fairly quickly. You guys can make comments at any time about generalities, but I don't want to stop for too long. That's in Jonathan H's collection. Love the emotion in the different emotions in those different individual panels that Ivy has here.
And again, the layered washes on that top panel.
Washes. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh, the water. Look at that. Oh my god. Oh my god. Yeah. Gotta keep going though. This one, beautiful. And I love her
this
face.
This is a Frazetta vibe.
This one? Yeah, I didn't think of that, but I see what you mean. Yeah. I love her expression on her face in the inset panel at the bottom. Right. And just everything, all the foliage, the whatever you call that, those plants, the plant matter and stuff. Oh, so beautiful. And I really, again, I love it either in black and white and color, which is so rare for me to say. You know, I usually hate the color, but I like them both. But still, of course, I always give a nod to the black and white. That's always my favorite. But excuse me. Here's another one. Don't know who this one belongs to at this point, but love that again, the expression. I love his faces. The expression on the young Ivy at the bottom, right at the bottom there in the middle, right?
Or the innocent Ivy.
The innocent,
the well-meaning Ivy.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man. Yeah, that's just man, oh man. Let's go through a few more. This is going good. Oh, this, I don't know, is it me? So the first thing that grabs me on this page, and this belongs to Sean Lackey. Hey, Sean, hopefully you'll watch this on Rewind. That 1, 2, 3, 4, it's the 5th panel. So the middle tier, the last panel of the middle tier. I immediately thought, oh, Wicked Witch from Wizard of Oz.
Oh, sure. This to me, this is a little reversion to superheroism. This is like a superhero fight, right? And not as a dig. That's awesome.
Yeah. Right.
So it reminds me of some Alan Davis, some of the point of view in the illustration, like that bottom panel and the second panel in there. It just beautiful.
So Ruben, without massive digression, and I'm sorry, this may lead down a serious rabbit hole. Yeah, I missed this morning's show. Did Mike talk about influences at all?
He was asked a question. And he said Steve Dillon and Brian Bolland were the 2 primary ones early on. And then, of course, after that, it's like a whole confluence of everything you see starts to sort of affect you. And
yeah,
but those were
to Jason's point, and earlier somebody said Colin. Like I had never thought Colin. I see it now, and I didn't really see Davis until now, but I do see it a little bit now.
Yeah, I didn't see that either. So subtle.
Yeah,
you know?
but it's there.
In here, I didn't see much of it through the rest of the run, but like this page, what Chris was saying about the superhero, because it was like, yeah, I see that looks like an Ellen Davis.
The like dynamism of that panel where she's yeah.
And just to answer Larry's question, we actually are, but as you can see, I'm starting to like speed up now. Starting to speed up now. So don't worry. And
now.
and this is a thing I wanted to bring up too, that you didn't think Sean bought modern art, and for the most part he doesn't. This is what I really loved about Swamp Thing as well. I mean, there's many things, of course, I love, but one of the things that I really, really, truly loved is that I started noticing that some of the guys that were buying pages were guys who typically bought 70s art, 80s art, you know, that kind of stuff, never modern art, you know. Or rarely modern art. And so when Sean Lackey bought, he bought at least a couple of pages, if I remember correctly. And when he bought his first one, I was like, what? Like I've known Sean Lackey for about 20 years or so. I mean, I know what he collects. And so for him for me to look in my emails and see that there's an order placed for Swamp Thing and it's from Sean Lackey, that sort of speaks to just how much this run, the art in this run, you know, really sort of got in front of people's faces, especially as people began to post the pages they were buying on Comic Art Fans, right? And it just, people suddenly were, whoa, that's pretty. Like I don't buy modern art, contemporary art, but I might just have to buy something. You know what I mean?
It's seminal work, and I think everyone knows it.
Yeah.
So that's it. Oh, and there you go. Exactly, Rick. Exactly. Rick, another guy who falls into that same category. So I was like, damn, wow, like this is, amazing. That makes me proud, and it should make Mike proud. I hope it does, you know? Okay, so let me rifle through a few more here. So here we got something from the third. Oh, yeah. I love Ivy.
Exactly.
I love Swamp Thing. Again, me, I love Mike's extreme close-ups and extreme close-ups of the faces, and I love the wash and the brush work on that bottom inset panel of Swamp Thing. Oh my god! I mean, I love the whole thing, but that one gets me.
It's exactly to Chris's point about choosing your moment, right? Choosing your moment to drop the big Swamp Thing. I mean, it's a mic drop. I mean, the wrong kind of mic, but
yeah,
I mean, it's like this is him just blowing up and showing us Swamp Thing like both we've never seen before and exactly what we want to see, because it's exactly like, you know, you can see the right scene in there. You can see that. I mean, all the beautiful. Oh my God, Ruben. Wow.
Yeah. And sorry, I mean, we've never sort of, you know, done this. We never planned this out. So don't feel like if you're talking and I switch slide, don't feel like I'm doing it to shut you up or anything. I
didn't take it as such. I was stopped in my tracks.
I just want to keep you. We got to keep rifling through. This one was very popular. A lot of people wanted this one because it's essentially the entire history of Swamp Thing, almost
flashback.
Right on one page. You know, starting from his first appearance all the way to the sort of the end of the Alan Moore era. You know, so that was really, really cool. Here we go with another one. This one I like because these next two pieces reminded me, as a kid, I loved King Kong. As a child, I saw King Kong 1933 for the first time. And some of the scenery evoked that for me, and the lighting when Alec and Swamp Thing are up there in that top first panel. Really
the pose even.
Evoked it. And then when we get to this next one,
that's great.
It's like a scene right out of King Kong, where the people were trying to cross that tree bridge, right? The fallen tree, right? And then Kong comes and he tries to shake it shakes it to make them all fall into the pit or whatever.
Wow.
And of course that inset panel, that look of Swamp Thing. Oh my god, and that inset panel,
unbelievable.
Oh, I wanted to buy that one, and like I love the whole thing, but I actually wanted to buy it even more for the inset panel. You know, I was just like, oh, but no, Chris
eyes,
does that one, but the eyes, oh,
yeah,
the eyes have it, and he's done that a lot, especially with extreme close-ups on the eyes throughout the series. Done that a few times. Here's the color version. Again, beautiful. Love those mustard yellows, the reds and oranges, the pinks, purples. I just thought that was really ballsy. So again, props to Mike Spicer on that. And here's Mikhail, who is no longer with us, I don't think, in the chat. But so these are some pages from his issue. I wish I could show this larger, but man, if you could see, go to Mikhail's gallery, guys, and look for this and look at it closely. It's insanity. It's like horror freak show happening. That eyeball, it feels gross just to look at it at the top. The face,
then it gets worse.
Yeah. The face is protruding from the roots, the trees, and then him on the bottom half lying there suffering. Man, just amazing.
This is another one of my favorite issues because it is such a non-standard superhero issue, and it feels a little bit. I mean, it's perfectly story and theme accurate to put the Suicide Squad in there, but this is Levi's moment of becoming. I felt this one was really the end of that first arc, right? Becoming is the name of that.
Becoming, yeah.
And this is it. This is one of my favorite pages from the issue as well.
Yeah, this is my favorite page of the issue. That top panel, I mean, the bottom one's scary as hell, but the top panel, again, the effect of him putting, you've got the camera there in the foreground with the really dark blacks, and then you got Parasite there hunched over in the middle ground. He's eating something. You can't tell, but it's creepy because he's chomping on something. But then in the background, again, all that depth. It looks like you can walk. It's like a window into this page where you can walk into that part of the swamp and reach those back trees right in the rear.
Well, and don't forget the paint, the little steam that's rising up. That adds a fourth dimension to it, right? You got the pen,
that wash,
exactly. You've got the wash with the Parasite, and then you've got the far wash. It is unbelievable. This page is. It is unbelievable.
Interesting too that he chose to draw those like visual parallels with Parasite and Swamp Thing because the story as well, they were kind of hinting at like Parasite's almost an allegory for Swamp Thing, right? Like they take their power from this other thing, like, what are they doing with it? Like that kind of stuff.
Yeah. It later explored in the Parliament of Gears, right? Where it to a larger extent. But this is my favorite page from the issue because this is one of the
this one?
No.
This one. Yes. Talk about this one. I know you love this one. Yes.
I do. I love this one because this is one of those rare pieces of comic art, and I don't mean to diminish it by calling it comic art. It is a piece of illustration that you could take from outside. You could take it out of the context of a comic book and put it up on like a community bulletin board or like a subway station or something like that. And everybody walking past from all different walks of life that maybe read comics and maybe don't, or maybe they're thinking about other things. They could look at this and they could get something else out of this, not as like someone could look at this and go, oh my gosh, that reminds me of Surfing Off of Big Sur, right? Like how did the artist know? And they captured it exactly right. It's exactly how I feel. And another person could look at it and think, this is an escape fantasy I have from the horrors of climate change or whatever. Like I just dream of jumping in and this is exactly how it would feel. How did that artist know exactly what I was feeling? Or like, this is what it feels like when I sink into a depression or whatever. It is all pertaining to it. But in the comic book context, it is the pivotal moment, I think, of Swamp Thing, of the whole run, because Levi has just been set on fire by heat wave, and I think he believes, Levi the character believes he is coming to his mortal end, right? And so he jumps off this waterfall into the pond and he sinks down, and all of the ripples of the air and everything like that, he sinks, he hits the ground, and then he makes the ripple too, but he doesn't cease to be. He literally becomes in that moment the Swamp Thing. He makes the choice. He embraces his destiny as Swamp Thing because he's not dead, and he realizes that he has more to do, that he's worthy of his family heritage and the identity that his family had with, among the green in India. It is astonishing. And then when he hits the ground, he's going to create his own ripples there at the bottom of the lake that are going to then be mirrored in that. I just could go on and on about that page. I just love that page. I think it's the
and you have.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
This is why I wanted you to be on for this episode. Believe me. Hey, listen, guys, if it wasn't for the fact that there is an audience and I have to take, the audience and future Rewind audience into consideration, personally, I like to talk. I could do it if it took 4 hours and you guys were willing to do it. I would stay for 4 hours. It's just that the audience is pressuring this. So it's
sure.
Yeah. Believe me, I when you want to talk on specific pieces, I want to hear you talk. And it's educational. It's educational, and the fact that this stays on YouTube is why I want it, and that's why. Part of the thing about going too long. Yes, I know there's some bad parts about it. Less people want to watch it. But for those who take the time to watch these types of episodes, they're very educational. You can learn a lot from this. And that's why I'm feeling, okay, even if a bunch of people have to drop out, I guess I get it. You guys got to go to work tomorrow, whatever. And no problem. But I'd rather put the information out there nonetheless, so that's all I'm saying.
Yep, that page is the wing nut. That page is the center point of, especially when the run was 10 issues, right? When they thought it was going to be 10 issues. Like, that is the middle point. He sinks.
It's the demarcation.
He literally hits bottom in that panel. He literally hits bottom, turns around and comes up and cleans it up.
Yeah, there you go. And look, you've got a fan. You got another fan other than me. You've got another big fan. And he says that he'd pay you to do a full analysis of a book of his choosing on tape.
You're making money now.
Far too kind.
And see, Comic Guy Boston agrees. Spot on. I agree. Okay, so let's rifle through a bunch more. So that was a 63. Okay, so let's take a look at this. Mikhail, are you there or not there? He's not there, right? Because so these are all, again, they continue to be Mikhail's pages, and I just wish I wish he could talk about them and what they mean to him. Because so
if he ever wants to break up his complete book, I'll take that last page. That would be great.
I'll take the pivotal page from the book, Mikhail. Anytime, buddy.
All right, Mikhail, you're there.
Mikhail.
But I mean, this because look, this is not the type of page that typically, so these two, there's this one and there's this one where Levi goes to visit his dad in India, and they don't have the best of relationships, and a lot of us can sort of relate to that. Maybe not that close to our parents, or we were at one point, and then certain things happened, and then suddenly we weren't anymore, and so for me, that is kind of what I get from that, the human element of it. But yeah, I just really wish Mikhail would have jumped on to be able to speak about it himself. But either way, I'm glad he chose those. I love the rain. It's starting to rain, and the middle panel, the raindrops starting to fall into the coffee cup. Right. Just nice little touches. Love the expressions.
Ripples, right? More of these ripples that are going out, and it's really cool to see how Mike sort of dialed back. I'm going to use that, and that is the wrong term, but because this is still incredibly intense artwork on so many levels. But we're not in the middle of the swamp, right? How do you demarcate that from the previous instances? And so it seems a little tamer, or it seems a little more controlled. But it's still just especially in that bottom panel where we're looking back at the green now. It's really lovely, like showing restraint here, right? The power in that restraint and stuff.
Mikhail makes the comment there, like it's the technique, right? Like the choices he made on this page, artistically speaking, set that stage.
Yeah. Yep. Totally.
Yeah, I love them both. And another nice example for me of showing the ability to show proper age.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I believe that man there at the top is his father and not his only 10-year-old brother, for instance.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So okay, great stuff. And then we go on to this page, which is all penciled. also from Mikhail's issue. Yeah, just what a wonderful flashback to their childhood, and yeah, the little boys playing in the mud, the parents getting pissed, or at least one of them getting pissed. Yeah, it takes you back to your own boyhood, if you will, you know.
Yep.
And it's a deeper flashback, and it's another artistic technique. The fact that they shot this from pencils, it looks different again.
And you got the ripples up top too. I mean, it's just the whole theme going all the way through flashback, identity, family. It's just great. I didn't know that page was all pencils until
But now, Jason, when you look at it, it just rings, right? Like you're like, oh, of course it is.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, Mikhail picked a great issue to buy.
He did.
In its entirety. Damn.
Yeah. You know what I love about Mikhail as a collector is also that the fact that he bought this book. Now, I'll be honest. Like I'm always honest. I'm going to put it out there that. So this issue. So when I've always been very skittish about pissing off my regular buyers, right? In order for the idea of selling a complete book to one person, right? Mm-hmm. But I had made the exception once before, and then Mikhail he asked me about it, and so I was like, well, I started wavering back and forth, and I said, I don't know, maybe, and it just so happened that the when he asked about it, the issue that was upcoming at the time was this one, and I said, well, look, the this next issue coming up, I got to tell you right now, it's beautiful, but it only has one page out of 22 that has Swamp Thing on it. Okay. And he's like, cool, just show it to me. So we got on a Zoom call. I showed him all the pages through Zoom, and he was like, yeah, I'm in. Right. So what I wanted to say is just that as a collector, there's not that many guys like Mikhail who are willing to buy art for the art's sake, where it doesn't have the content, right? The content that 99.9% of the other collectors always want and expect to have. You know what I mean? And so to me, for him to still want it and buy it as a complete issue, and be satisfied with just the artistic integrity of it all, even though the content is not your typical, what everybody wants in every page. To me, that speaks a lot to again, the fact that the type of collector he is, the fact that he's like anybody else. I'm sure he likes all his popular characters too. But in addition to the fact that he also will buy stuff as, for the art's sake, basically, is what I'm trying to say.
Totally. His gallery is one of my favorites on CAF because it's all like this. I've learned about so many artists and so many different styles of people I didn't know before, because his taste is exemplary, as is evidenced in his purchase of this whole book. It's one of my very favorites from the run.
Yeah.
It's really great.
Yeah. I hate Mikhail.
All right. And speaking of the one page, I won't stay on it long simply because we got to rifle through. We're over the 2/3 mark. If I can rifle through a bunch more, we'll make it, almost make it. So there you go. So that was the one page out of his whole book that had Swamp Thing in it,
It's not bad if you got to have the one, right?
You got to have the one, yeah. At least.
Okay, check. There we go. No,
that's aight. That's aight.
This has a Tony Harris feel to me. That character in the front, that's a Tony Harris looking character.
I don't see it, but I'm not a huge Tony Harris follower, so I don't really know quite why you say that, but
like
I'll take your word for it.
No, he looks like he could be an Ex Machina. I love Tony Harris. That's a compliment in my mind.
Oh no, yeah, no, I took it as such. I took it as such. And the cover, yes, of course, he was on the cover. I was referring to the interior story only, of course. And yeah, at least the it's funny. The ironic thing about this, Mikhail, is that the one issue that had the least Swamp Thing probably had the cover that most collectors would consider the best, right? With this crazy killer giant image of Swamp Thing coming in anger towards the reader with this almost a predator-like scope trained on his chest or whatever. So that was cool, at least. Killer Splash, Rick says it absolutely. And Aranga says, good thing is no one can tell when always with these guys with the brown racist jokes. I
That's
love
a
it.
brown on brown crime.
Yeah, brown on brown crime, exactly. Okay, let me move on here. I just wanted to show this simply because I love the fact that Rom had asked for some sort of an Indian motif in the design here in the back. I just thought that was excellent, and
Yes.
I think Mike did a great job with that. Want to move on?
Way more in black and white. That was actually one of the
yes, because the red bothers me.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't bother me. It's just like it all of Mike Spicer's choices, I think, have really been very great and making the art pop in all the right ways and really being true to the emotional timbre of the story. And this one, it just isn't quite there yet.
Yeah.
I mean, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
But I think it just wasn't quite there.
Right. And so this is a crazy one. I just wanted to show this because I wondered when I saw this, I wondered if anybody else other than me had immediately seen this, and then, if looking at this had evoked this advertisement. Because that's what it brought to me when I immediately I was like, oh shit, that's like that's the old advertisement, and I had to hunt it down.
This is one of the ones that I was kind of like referring to earlier, where he picked his spots where it was like, oh, I'm gonna homage, this classic Swamp Thing image.
Yeah, and this is one of the 6 as of yet unsold covers that we still have, and I love it. Again, I keep saying I love his close-ups. So the headshots, the face shots, right? Close-ups, extreme close-ups. So for me, that's why this is so killer. And the back of the hand, the right hand, love that. And I feel like I can feel the solidity and the weight of those antlers.
Yeah.
For me, it's just like, I could see that those antlers are like 20 pounds, I just love that. I love Woodrue. I love that shot because that's like a shot from the apartment up in Brooklyn. That's where Levy is staying. So that top panel is just magnificent to me. And then the bottom again, the close up to the Woodrue. If you go to the right side, everything is excellent, of course. But I love when he zones in on Swamp Thing's eyes. They tell such a story, Then we go to this. This I just wanted to show because it was just such a wacky, crazy. He protects his brother Jacob by enveloping himself around him, then grows really large, and he's got him basically cocooned in his chest cavity, and then he has to release him, so breaks open the chest cavity and just dumps him out. I mean, it was just like, wow, like just the crazy ways that like Swamp Thing uses his powers now is just so interesting to me,
Yes.
Here, so
this one, okay, bottom panel.
I know. You go ahead.
Bottom panel. I mean, come on, that's a pastiche. That's an homage. And the middle is too, where he's carrying her body. Like this is what I'm saying. He picks his spots, and when he does, he pokes it out of the park.
Yeah.
Yep. And I'm really glad that you chose this one because I don't think an examination of Mike Perkins's Swamp Thing run or even Mike Perkins's career is complete without this page. Like Marcus, this is the perfect page. If there was probably one page that you could pick from this entire run that encompassed everything that Mike Perkins was doing on this, with the pencils on, for the figures of Jennifer above, and then that incredible wash of all the forest in the middle, which again, just as Chris said before, that's like that takes up the whole page. It's just basically kind of like the Pale Wanderer, right? It goes over, and then I thought there was a little Steve Bissett in the eyes in that third panel, and then of course Bernie down below. It just is everything that Swamp Thing has been up to this point, all the greats, and then what Mike has added to the mythos, pushing it forward. I think this is the stellar piece of the whole run. It just is in terms of presenting just a macro statement of what Swamp Thing is and can be and is now and will be, if that makes sense.
Said.
Marcus,
that's the Swamp Thingiest Swamp Thing page in the series. Yep.
And yes, a keeper for sure. and it's funny because I guess ironic in a way, because Marcus, for Marcus, I remember him telling me that he was really in love with and wanted and would have liked to have gotten. Hold on, let me remember where I am. What number is this? 75. Okay, so for him, he said the epitome of, if you have to have one page for him, he was telling me it would have been this. Just because obviously it's beautiful, but it encompasses the whole, right. Many decades of the backstory, right?
Yeah, it's more of a tribute though, right?
Yeah.
It's not like a thing unto itself that's like also about Perkins.
Exactly.
That's just more retrospective.
Exactly.
Very, very swampy. Very, very true, Mark.
Very swampy.
And sorry, guys, have to go. Good night to you. I'll see you next. My wife has to go to sleep, the big collector that she is. Okay. Good night, honey.
Good night,
guys. See you later. She knows nothing about. She doesn't care about comics. I don't know why she tunes in, because just to support me, if you can imagine.
Because she's a good person, Ruben.
That's what I'm saying. It's mind blowing that she would listen to stuff she knows nothing about just to support me. Okay.
Yeah. Kyle wouldn't show, but Vivian.
But okay, so you know what? Clearly we didn't even make the extra half hour, but I'm still gonna rifle through. We've got 25 more to go. If I rifle through a bunch, right, we'll do it, right? And if anybody needs to go, you live viewers, we understand. I understand. Don't feel bad. Please go to sleep and get to work tomorrow.
Thank you for spending your evening with us. It's been
thank you for all the time. Yeah, for anybody who has who had to go. I mean, obviously.
It's a holiday in the U.S. tomorrow. Stay up, watch the show.
That's true. I forgot the fact that it's right, because of Labor Day, right? Labor Day. But still, whatever. Whatever. Like I said, people for whatever reason they don't like to stick around listening to us. Especially my shows tend to go pretty long. So whatever. But anyways, okay, let's move on. So the next one is this one. This one surprised me in the fact that it's still available. It didn't sell. I thought this one for sure was going to sell quick. But again, I every time I think I know the mind of a collector, I'm proven wrong. I just loved the lighting in the forest at the top, the fact that Swamp Thing is crouched down in front, and he's tethered to the forest, and he's sort of protecting that one, a Jericho rose in front of him. And of course, I love what he did on not only this page, but a series, I think it was 3 or 4 pages in this issue, consecutive pages, where he used that the pencil smudging to do the shading on the faces of Jen and Tefe. I just thought it was beautiful, and there you go. Want to go on to this one. Also, I believe this one. This one was sold pretty quick, I think. As a fan of the Pale Wanderer / Pilgrim. This was, first of all, it was disgusting. I was just like, what is this? Like, come on. The idea that the human, right, the Pilgrim guy, right, is from Prescott Industries. This guy's like, yeah, okay, sure. I want to, I don't know, live longer, whatever the hell he was thinking.
This
like,
monster.
Exactly. It's not even like he's just adding, give me his I don't know, leg or his arm or whatever. Like, it's like half the body. Mm-hmm. What is, what?
Two things. First off, let's not forget that this is really a horror comic, right? They might try to sell it to us, but that Mike and Rom were just like, man, we got to do a horror comic, and that's more of a
I know, CJ,
trope than Frankenstein, right? And so it's like that. But not only that, this is all about the monster of our own creation. Not to get too far into it, but like the Parliament of Gears and everything that's coming about. It's this allegory, and it all kind of comes into sharp focus in this last arc of the run, right? And it just works on so many levels. It's beautiful to look at. It's a great allegory, and it thematically grounds the entire thing, and then and they're able to land it. It just is great work.
It's also a callback to, I guess what's arguably the most widely known issue of the Alan Moore run, which is Anatomy Lesson.
Yes. Yes, yes,
Which
yes.
is
And
literally how that first page in the future state starts, right?
Yep.
Right.
Anatomy lesson. Yeah.
Right.
It was,
Right. Woodrue running through the whole thing is like he's the underpinning for the whole deal, and I think that's genius on Rom's part.
Yeah.
And only because you mentioned it, I might as well let the cat out of the bag. What I was trying to say about the whole future state thing is that, you know, you see all those sort of biology book diagrams, right, throughout the two-part story, right? And the captions are Swamp Thing narrating and explaining how he had created the Swampling characters that he had created to hang out with him, to because you know it was apocalyptic, right? There was pretty much nobody left, so he created
these experimenting,
right,
yeah.
And he's explaining how he built them, all these organs and whatever, and then it's when I get to the end of that, or close to the end of the second issue, and I'm like, oh shit, Swamp Thing's giving us the anatomy lesson. Oh my God. I was freaking. I was so, oh my God. It was just like, oh my God, it's brilliant. Oh my God. Yeah. So there you go. Just had to mention that. Okay. So let's get on with the show here. Love this one again from a different angle as the one I showed earlier, from right in front of him. Again, tethered, protecting the rose. Oh, to me, this is just beautiful. And a shock that it did not sell immediately. It took a while. Yeah, so interesting, but beautiful, and it goes well with, I believe. Hold on, so 11. Yeah, it's consecutive pages. Again, showing the tethering here and the rose growing, and that look on his face in the middle panel there. Oh man, yeah. So these are beautiful pages. This one I just keep. It's romantic almost, if you know what I mean. Yeah, Jason's not in there. You guys, you're nodding your head. You know what I mean, right? Yes. It's just romantic, beautiful. Yeah.
Great comic art, Boston. Man, oh man, that is beautiful. That is good. That 2-page sequence is stunning. So good.
And yeah, there you go. Nice cab. And oops, here we go. Let's go to the next one. So 80. I just thought this was wild. I was just like, holy shit, this is so cool. So cool.
Go that Dave McKeon Black Orchid feel to it to me.
Yeah, it had a black. Yes, it had a Black Orchid feel. Exactly. That's what I thought. Just wanted to show this. Matt Todd. Matt Todd's a recent subscriber. Thank you, Matt. And I'm not. I was never a huge follower of this character, but when I saw that Rom was bringing him in, I was just like, wow, you know, the King of Cities, kind of interesting. It makes sense. It started to make sense to me, right? That they would bring him in for a couple of 2 or 3 issues. Yeah. So I just wanted to show that. I love how Mike had done the. He made this decaying city start to look organic.
Yes.
You know, and it was like it had a life of its own, even though it was dying, basically, you know.
I love that I am a Hawksmoor fan. I loved Hitch and Ellis's run on Authority.
Me too.
You know, and obviously Miller and his run on Authority too. But so what was so cool for me about these couple of issues that Hawksmoor was in was Perkins did kind of like, I don't know, I think wittingly pay tribute to what Hitch had done with his character, because, you know, Hitch is famous for drawing the soles of people's feet, or like Batman's boot, like kicking somebody in the face.
Right.
Hawksmoor's like weird alien, like metal feet are on display like multiple times in this issue. So like every time that happened, I was like, yeah. And there's this amazing double page splash where he's doing that kick towards the reader's face, where you see the beautiful bottom metallic sole of his foot, and I'm like, oh, that's awesome, you know. Yeah, that was great. All right.
It's too bad that, you know, out of all the excellent work that Mike has done in this series, it's too bad he phoned it in on that building in the background. You know. I mean, there's just man, no wonder it only lasted 16 issues.
Yeah, why'd you expect her to fall on your face?
Yeah. unbelievable. There's graffiti that you can read the graffiti and zoom in and all the bricks. It's just astonishing. It's so good.
Chris Bailey got this one. I just thought this was spectacular. You know, the swamp, organic matter melding with, you know, all the metal and just
being caught in the gears and being caught in the gears, which like is happening in the series.
Right. Yeah.
This is my favorite cover. And Chris, that is just fantastic. Along with that double page spread that he had, Chris got just beautiful from this. This is my favorite cover.
This is so there's another one of again, beautiful bottom eyes. I love the eyes at the bottom. His face in that second panel. I love how he does the roots of the trees. Everything in that top panel, to me, that's just brilliant. And boy, he looks angry at the bottom. I just love that page. And of course, Comic Art Boston with the great eye always gets some really great pages. Just wanted to show this one to give a shout out to Rick Welch, of course, because of the fact that he is one of those guys who is typically a vintage art buyer, but has been purchasing some of Mike's work on this series. And this is a nice little origin of Trinity, which I thought was a pretty nice historical sort of way to bring in or tying in the character to that historical thing that happened with the detonation of the bomb in New Mexico.
Test, I like that he always employed a distinctive graphic element or technique on Trinity. Like she had her own look amongst the other avatars. I thought was very cool.
Yeah, I agree.
And now that we've stayed up so late, we can show that bottom panel there. See, we couldn't do that at the earlier hour, but
yeah, and everybody probably know. A lot of you guys know. Although he's been very busy the last few months, so he hasn't been posting. But JH on CAF, you know him as JH. It's Jason. I'm not going to say the last name because he wants to stay private. But he picked this one, and I'm happy that he's happy with it because
it's great. It is.
Yeah. This is my favorite cover from the series.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Cool. I think I'm pretty sure I highlighted this on a weekly update on CAF as well.
You're welcome.
It's the design. Like the design of this is tremendous. Like it's not just the angle of the character. I mean, obviously the hands, right, are the key element, but everything branching off of the hands using the, his normal, I'll say normal, it's extraordinary, but for Perkins, it's normal. His ordinary, wash on the character, but like leaving all of the other elements on the cover, either black or white, is so incredibly effective.
Yeah.
Yep. I agree. Yeah. It's beautiful, like absolutely beautiful. It's not like I was surprised that it was your favorite because I didn't think it could be, ranked up as one of the better ones. It was just simply because I myself personally have been having a lot of trouble deciding what would be my favorite. I don't have one yet. I haven't decided. I can't decide because there's just a few that are like pulling to me, and I love that one. I love the number 12 that I showed that Jason said was his favorite, and it's just because and actually when 12 came out, I was like, this is hands down my favorite, But then when this one came out, I was like, ooh, this might be even in its own way nicer. It's just hard to choose. I've always had trouble choosing favorites of anything, So, all right, so let's move on. We got our 15. We're in the last 15. And yeah, so I wanted to show this. Raj was here earlier in the morning/afternoon show. And he's been picking up a lot of the quieter pages that feature focus on Levy and Jen. And so he picked that one up. And I just thought it's just natural. It just looks, it's like I'm watching TV or a movie and it's scene, that page. It's just so well done. It's just so natural. It's just how relaxed he's lying there in bed. And again, that top inset panel, like this tiny little panel showing just to establish the fact that they're in Levy and Jane's apartment. But like, look how rendered it is. What are you doing? What the hell what are you thinking? But again, it's fabulous. And the talking to the tree on the right there. Ah,
unbelievable. Yeah, that one on the right. And if you look, the further back you look, all those dimensions that Mike puts in there, right? The more faces you see, and the more, you know, there's stuff like it just goes on. And then all of those, you know, the Parliament in the back on that on the lower row, the lower tier of panels, and then the Swamp Thing is kind of floated out on top of the panels that are already floated out on top of this bag. It's just all about lineage, right? And how it all stacks and fits in together. And then it's all in that, I guess it would be the second panel, because there is that top insert. It's just, astonishing. Comic Art Boston, another stunner. Just fantastic guy.
Yeah, and Erotica says, "You jerks just made me buy DC art."
Check
well,
your email.
that remains to be seen. Let's you know, prove it. Let us see what you will have bought, and then put it in your
email, Ruben.
Check my email. We'll see. I'll be waiting. But excellent. And Jason, check it out. Rick also said 12 is his fave as well. I have to think that a lot of people would like 12 as their favorite. You know,
it's the juxtaposition, right, of the green growing things and industry, and it's nobody likes that, but it's one of the most pressing realities in our world today, right? And that is the cover that summarizes it in a single image, you know, of all the covers, and it also just does such a great job of capturing that moment, and just really great. Yep.
All right.
Rick has great taste.
All right, so then I just wanted to show this real quick. Jeffrey Freshcorn bought this one recently and was so ecstatic that I helped him get it. He needed time payments, and as I've mentioned many times, people, I don't like them. It's true that I don't like them, but I will, and Jason can attest to this, I will make an effort to help people on time payments if I can, even though I hate to do them, but yes.
This is what Chris was talking about before about Wrightson's Frankenstein. This to me, I mean, look at that image, look at the hands and the light source and everything.
The striations and the ink.
Yeah, the striations and the light source. Man. Oh, love it. On this one, I love the background. I mean, of course, because Trinity in on ink and ink on paper, Mike, there's no way Mike was going to be able to do that whole digital effect that she has, right? Obviously. But that's what you miss as an art collector, right? You're like, oh, it's missing, right? You wish that all was drawn in or whatever. But the background to me is what it makes it anyways. Even if she had that stuff on her, to me, it's those faces that are just scary and terrifying. The way that all those diagonal lines are crossing across their eyes, all of them, and then down vertically down through their eyes. I just love that.
This really makes me think of Sienkiewicz here, because whereas Mike's, it's always, I don't know, it's the way that the light is just kind of shattering out of their eyes like that, and it is deliberately non-linear, and it's deliberately everything and even with the arcs of energy off of Trinity's hands there, there's something here. And I thought a lot of the interior pages here, and as Mike is starting to get into really, really pressing on the point of when the Swamp Thing starts to get integrated into the gears, right? He's infusing himself to stop the progress of this thing. So many of those pages become more impressionistic to me with the faces, the human faces in the gears. And it's something that Sienkiewicz does all the time, but it was so cool to see Mike do it with his more sort of illustrative style that goes more on the realistic side versus Sienkiewicz. And I mean, Sienkiewicz is,
no, he's one of my all-time favorites. Yeah,
totally. But it's really cool seeing just him try this stuff to kind of almost break it and put it back together with his in his way. I mean, especially on some of the gear pages that are in this issue, especially number 15. I really love to approach that.
And I feel I have to say, not to be like a shuckster or huckster or whatever you call it. I feel I have to say, just because I'm so surprised that on issue 15, so that's the second to last issue, last month's issue, I was really surprised that there are still, I don't know, a handful of great pages
Yes.
available that didn't. I was like, why are they? I can't believe nobody bought them. I was looking at them today. I was like, why do I still have these? And I actually regretted. I only noticed it later in the afternoon today, and I regretted thinking if had I only realized that earlier or yesterday, I would have maybe made slides that you know, after I showed and offered the artwork from number 16, I would have said, hey, for anybody who missed out on, there's still a few really nice pages here from 15. But you know, it's too late, you know, but yeah, for anybody listening still, and you're looking to maybe buy, look at 15. There's at least two that I love. So check those out.
I think there's another. Sorry, just real quick. Sort of adding on to what Jason was saying. I think that there's another also deliberate decision that Mike made. So I completely agree on the Sienkiewicz comparison. I see it. I think narratively speaking, I think he's picking up like the kind of like energy or what the chaos or whatever you want to say from, you know, Trinity having to kind of like make that decision about like, you know, she's a being of energy, right? So like she's literally bringing energy to the story. There's this like mechanical element that's coming in from like the Parliament gears. So I think like that whole thing is literally like being ratcheted up, like the intensity of the story is being ratcheted up. And I think he starts to make artistic choices that match that level of energy.
Totally. Great point.
Well said.
Well said.
Chris. And once again, that is why I wanted you as well on this show. And in the future, I will call upon both of you once again when I want to do retrospectives on you know, when I want to do things where I want the art to be spoken about.
You know, people 4 hours, right? Yeah, 4 hours.
But guys, just to let you all know, for those of you who are the few of you who are still hanging in, we're down to our last 10. So we'll finish this up real soon, hopefully right at the 11 o'clock mark, which will make it right under my record for the previous show, which was like 3:05, I think. So let's move on with that. And that would be putting 11 pieces. But yeah, I just really love this one. The whole thing, the symbolism with the Jericho rose. I love that.
Did Aranka just buy this?
Hold on. Oh, that okay. It says hold on. So let me jump into the chat because I noticed where is it? I noticed this.
Uh-huh.
Wait, hold on. No. That's not the one. Hold on. Damn.
That's the one I bought. I knew it. Aranka.
Oh, I saw this.
Good job, Aranka.
I saw this and I just thought he was trying to say, oh, there's the DPS he would have wanted if it was still available. So I didn't highlight it. Oh,
well played, sir. Well played.
Well, let me go over to my there you go. I see a want list in my email from Iranga.
Delete? Sorry, I don't know what happened.
Oh, what?
Oh, fantastic. Oh, that's fantastic. Okay, great. Good stuff. Well, I'll talk later, Iranga. Maybe
next.
If not tonight, tomorrow. Oh, and hold on.
Beautiful choice, Iranga. Beautiful choice.
For sure.
Yes.
Okay, so I see some congrats, and then couldn't believe it was unsold. Yeah, there's other pages that I still can't believe. Great pickup. Daryl, nice choice. And artwork is priced very reasonably. I thank you. I try. Always do scans of pages from 16 on your site. Do you want? Should I? Because what should I bother? I don't know. Maybe for a month and then delete the sold ones. Maybe we'll see.
For history,
they're
beautiful. They deserve the showcase.
And CJ, yeah, baby, come for the art, stay for the education. Exactly. So and we go and what do we go? Well, bought. Aranga just okay. So I'm a little behind. Aranga loves the rose too. Hold on, roses for Aranga. Please change current owner on this slide.
I love it.
Yes, I can't do it right now, but I will, and I'll send you the slide. Exactly.
That would take even more time.
Right.
Okay. All right. Let's finish this up, guys. Oh gosh, yeah. We're gonna have to stop on this one, of course. Go ahead, do it, Jason.
Oh yeah, that was just what I was saying. Thanks, Ruben. Yeah. This was just that piece. The faces in that bottom panel, and it was Swamp Thing sort of forming himself. I just thought the gears, the whole concept of the Parliament of Gears, just that when I heard that phrase, my brain just exploded. I thought it was so clever and so cool. And this one I just thought was just wicked.
Yeah, it's fabulous. Yeah, I loved it. So I was glad that you grabbed this one. Okay, so let us move to. So I believe now is where we jump into the 16th. So the 16th and final issue, which those of you who tuned in earlier today are already very familiar with. But I thought that it would be very apropos for us to finish this episode by showing the end of the run. Given what an epic run it was, and also to thank you guys watching and those of you who participated this afternoon and bought pages. I wanted to highlight because I did take the time to redo the slides so that they did have the current owner names on them after earlier today's sale. So here we go. So here's one of, I think, my two favorites that are still available. This is one of the ones I was talking about. I'm like, I can't believe this is still available. I think it's $400. It's got, so Swamp Thing is in the first 4 out of the 5 panels. It's got the Pale Pilgrim. It's got my favorite actually thing here. The whole concept is that bottom panel where the gears are monstrosities, right? They're the faces and the gears. And it's like, what is happening here? This is crazy shit. Like, I just, oh my God, I love it. And I just think I could have maybe sold it had I shown it today earlier, but whatever. It's there for anybody who wants it. So I'm sure it'll sell soon enough.
Yeah, I'll take that. If no one does it by the end of the show, I'll take that one, Ruben.
I'm not trying to convince anybody here, by the way.
I don't want to jump the line either. That's not fair for me to say that.
You're working, Husa. You can jump the line.
The gears in Jason's brain are fantastic too.
They're sort of rusted and falling apart, I think.
They've got Swamp Thing cluttered up in them.
That's it.
All right. So we go here to 9 more to go, guys. This is the last page from the last, second to last issue. This is my friend Robert who owns this. He lives right next door to me. Literally, he's probably sleeping 6 feet away from me through this wall on my right now. And I just figured I'd shout him out because, he loves Perkins stuff and has been quietly buying Perkins stuff for ever since the stand, actually. And I just love this. I love the way she enters, and it's like, it's Trinity time, baby. And I love it. Okay, and of course, earlier today, everybody saw this, so there's no need to talk more about it. Just wanted to show it. Available.
I love one of the things that Mike did in making those the fern fronds, right, and how those resemble gears, and kind of transposing the Parliament of Trees into the Parliament of Gears, and how it has an organic a counterpart, right?
Yes.
And I just thought that was a lovely design.
Great. Yeah, great. Oh, absolutely. Comparison. Wow.
Yeah. Very cool. All right. So here come the pages that we sold earlier today. I think most of these are sold. I think they're all sold probably. So Comic Art Boston, my friend, there you go again. Congratulations on getting this one. Beautiful. And like Mike had said earlier today, he didn't want to pat himself on the back, but he loved the Swamp Thing head in that second panel, and that's the first thing that grabbed me too. I was like, oh, that's beautiful.
That's got a Bissett feel for sure.
Yeah. This was the one that I was my finger. It was like by 10, and my finger was right there on the because it was so good. Nice job.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mike. I appreciate for both showing up earlier today and tonight. And thanks for hanging in so long tonight. I appreciate it. Sorry you couldn't make it for the last 5 or 6 pieces, but catch it on Rewind if you want. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. See you next time.
Thanks, Michael.
And okay, here we go. So my buddy Kevin here in Canada. I love this one just because pretty sexy Trinity images at the top. And I really, again, I said it this afternoon, but I love that again, the extreme close up on the face for her. I love that panel. Just sultry and good.
Getting a Hal Jordan and a John Constantine and Alec Holland, and I mean those are nice too.
Yeah. I love the fact that it was a nice way to sort of use a page to sort of, or at least half a page to show all the primary characters that were that had appeared, and a couple of the characters that had made a sort of guest appearances.
Yeah, totally. I love that page.
I mean, and Mike was even cool enough to include on behalf of John McCrae, Sierra, who was in that fill-in issue that with the tattoos there, the Asian girl. But yeah, and just for anybody who didn't know, I just want to make it clear that the reason, because I was saying earlier in the show how one of the things that I like about Mike is his professionalism, and he never misses deadlines and whatever. So if anybody's wondering why there was a fill-in issue for issue 5, I think it was. That's because this was an exception to the rule. Last summer, Mike had to move. He was living in Florida for 20 years, but he's originally from the UK. So he's from England, and he decided to move back to England. And so there was no way he was going to do all the things that you need to do to move out of one country, go across the ocean to another country. He needed time to take care of things, right? And that's the reason he asked, hey, can you give my friend, he's a friend of McCrae, so that's why he said, hey, can you give McCrae the job or whatever? And that's why that fill-in happened, just for that.
It was a fun issue too.
It was pretty cool. Yeah, exactly. Just real quick. Rick says, dazzling. Comic Boston, I think that we should pass the word around because it's such a great, innovative, as well as insightful show. You should pass the word around. I appreciate that. Thank you. And this is a fantastic show to catch, even on Rewind. Thank you so much. And CJ, great idea. Well, thank you. And we don't have many shows of this quality, guys. Thank you once again. Thank you. And of course, the quality is only heightened because of both the guests that I bring on and you guys in the chat who support me all the time and shoot the breeze in the chat. Seriously, I say it all the time, but I mean it. The show is I wouldn't do this if I saw that I was always playing to like 3 or 5 people or whatever. I just wouldn't have I just wouldn't be motivated, Yep. So it's my friends who are willing to come on, and my friends in the chat who make the show as fun as they are. And I got to say again, because I think I said it this afternoon, I watch the shows all the time after they air. I watch them because I want to not miss any of the comments. And I have to admit, I not to pat myself on the back, even though I'm doing it. They've all been pretty entertaining. Like I mean it. Like I'm not even trying to pat myself. Seriously, like they're pretty. And hey, like anybody else, I don't like to hear the sound of my own voice. I don't want to watch myself. And with that in mind, if I can still watch it and find it entertaining, that means they're pretty entertaining. So there you go. So thank to all of you, because you guys are what make these shows as fun as they are. Let me jump in for the last few. And so here we go with this one. Oh, sorry, this one, and let me get rid of the comment. Thank you so much, Comic Art Boston. And yeah, Chris Bailey snagged another a great one here. What else is there to say other than, I just love, I love it all. I love it all, especially the Swamp Thing head at the top behind him. The scary gears, I like that it has the 2 avatars, or I guess now we can say the left is one former avatar and on the right, current avatar. Right.
So undecided. I mean, this could be a cover. I mean, this is just
for sure.
It was really cool when Christopher said, that he'd been waiting in the drop this morning. He'd been waiting for an hour for this piece, and it was like as soon as it posted, Ruben, like it was up, and I saw his thing. Bye.
Really?
Yeah. Like, and I mean, it was like it was. Yeah, what a great choice. I mean, congratulations, Christopher.
And Chris deigns to show up now, and just in time to show it to look at his own piece of art. I love
that. As just as this morning, his timing is perfect, right? I mean,
yes,
just boom by it. It was.
Fantastic. Yes, exactly. And Jason and Chris, just in case you didn't notice it, because maybe you did, but just wanted to show that Comic Art Boston gave you guys some props as well. So there you go. And Marcus says, fantastic as well. Marcus, are you speaking about the splash or about my two guests? Because
this piece, I think.
it would be true. It would be true either way, but you know. This okay, and he says, Christopher, this is an iconic and pivotal page, and Mr. Easy Go Lucky, love your enthusiasm. Oh, thank you, that's very sweet of you. Thank you, appreciate it, Mr. Easy Go Lucky, and I appreciate you always showing up to my content. I really appreciate it. Yeah, it's great. I love it when I see you guys show up every week. And listen, I understand when people suddenly can't, you know. So every time I see your names, it gets me happy. It makes me very happy, and it's what keeps me going to want to keep doing stuff like this, you know. Yes, Rick, he got a fast trigger finger. Movie poster quality, good timing. Just finished my fantasy draft. That's why you're here now, huh? Chris did his homework. Yep, he definitely did. CJ says, Ruben, Chris, and Jason, many thanks for the shows. Oh, thank you, CJ, also for your support. I really, really appreciate, and you're always leaving me comments and being so active in the chat. Everybody who's in the chat, constantly being active. Love you guys. Thank you so much. Last four pieces, guys. And once again, Comic Art Boston does it again. And yeah, not much to say other than it's fantastic, right?
This is another one of those where it's like you posted instantly, and Comic Art Boston had fantastic pickup. Just so good. So good.
Yeah. And so very, very happy to be able to post your name as the current owner, Comic Art Boston. So kudos. And with that, we go. Okay. I just want to say really quickly, Jesus, I don't think he's here tonight, but or I think he was, but Jesus took this page. I wanted this page. So I am pissed off at Jesus, even though he comes to all my shows. He supports me very well. But I'll be pissed off. Listen, I have the right to be pissed off for at least a little while because I really wanted it. As the Pale Wanderer / Pilgrim's biggest fan, I really wanted to close out the series with this. It would have been perfect for my art collection. But that's okay, Jesus. I'll get over it. But I appreciate you always tuning in and participating, man. I really do appreciate that in all seriousness. And second to last piece, this is let's check out the current owner here. So so Kavi claimed this, and he claimed that it was for me, gift for me. So I have an issue with anybody, including my own family, buying me pieces of art that are worth hundreds of dollars. Like that's just, I can't, it's I grew up in a certain way, and I can't accept stuff like that. But he said we'll argue about it later. So okay, that's why I put that on there on the slide, and I guess we will argue a little bit later.
What if Kavi claims it and pays for it, and then he sells it to you for what he paid for it?
Well, no, but that's the thing. What I did was I told Kavi right away. I said, well, thank you. I can't accept that, but I will accept the claim since nobody else claimed it other than him. I'll accept the claim on my behalf, and I'll just buy it. You know what I mean? So yes, I will take it, but I can't let him pay for that thing for me. You know what I mean? Like, well, that's crazy.
It's a lovely gesture, Ruben.
I know it is. That's the problem. That's a very, very expensive, lovely gesture that is completely unnecessary. So that's the whole point. See, look at. I knew Comic Art Boston was going to come in and start saying shit about that. Okay, watch.
Define unnecessary. It's not completely unnecessary. I think it was a very kind gesture to kind of acknowledge what you have given us all in repping Mike and making his art available and
well, he's one
and Kavi in particular. I mean, you've I think, well, I won't say mentored, but you've certainly, loaned Kavi some knowledge over the last couple years, and like I could see you wanting to give back.
Look, I can't accept. How can anybody say I'm not the one being gracious? I'm just saying I can't accept a hugely expensive gift randomly like that. Like, that's insanity. I'm the one being gracious by saying no. I'm not going to let you do that. You can't do that. That's insane. Like, get your head straight. But anyway,
Jesus, get your head straight.
but the colors are awesome. So are the
They're beautiful.
Yes, it's a tip. But yeah, let me jump back in, guys. Like I said, me and Kavi will argue it out like he said we would, so that's fine. And last but not least, here we go. And winner chicken dinner, Marcus Way. Yeah, so Marcus had been hoping for the duration of the entire series that he was hoping to get like a splashy type page, but then again, like everybody was like, I had a lot of people constantly emailing me saying, let me know if there's ever any splashy type Swamp Thing image coming soon. I'd be interested. And I'd have to, I'd be telling everybody like, well, sure, but you and everybody else, right? Like get in line. That's what everybody's been waiting for because there hasn't been that many. So for that reason alone, he was very happy to see that that he finally grabbed one, and it was right at the end with the final issue because there was 3 cool splashes, and so glad that you got one, Marcus. That's cool. Great. And there you have it. And let me just quickly jump back in.
Congrats.
There are a few comments I just wanted to quickly highlight because again, I know it takes more time to stretch out, but it matters to me that I react to your guys, interact with you guys. So I'll make Kavi feel better and accept it on for me. You'll take it for me, right, Aranga? So
what a humanitarian.
Yeah, exactly. The best piece. Congrats, Marcus. Yeah, I don't know if it was the best piece, but certainly a lot of people would think it is for sure. It's up there for sure. This is the way. Marcus, damn, and Marcus wins the night, I guess. Okay, fine, you guys win. Marcus wins. Just really quick, guys. I just wanted to let you know for the those of you still watching. Next week's episode, I have to ask this. Hold on, let me just get rid of this comment so we can get bigger on the screen. So I have to ask all you guys. Not that there's that many of you left, but I want to know. So I'm a football fan. And by the way, Jason, another team I forgot to mention I follow only because of Barry Sanders. Even over 2 decades after his retirement, I still follow the team. But anyways, it's not my only team, so I can make up for that. But wanted to say, guys, everybody watching right now, let me know. For those of you who watch football, who tend to watch NFL, certainly, Sunday night football, right? My shows are always on Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. The games typically start like 8:20 or 8:30 or 8:40, whatever it is. So I just wanted to know, for the football season, would you still show up, or how many of you guys I want to know that watch football will skip the show and watch it on rewind or not watch it at all and go watch football instead? Because basically what I really want to know is, I'm thinking for the next 4 months or so, would it make sense for me to start airing my programming at 7? So let's say an hour earlier at 7 Eastern, but that's in the middle of the afternoon for you West Coast guys. So 4 o'clock, 4 o'clock Pacific, 7 o'clock Eastern, because this way, if again, with that goal of going 2 hours, if it goes 2 hours, it goes till 9 for the East Coast, right? And that means, we football fans have missed maybe the first quarter or so. So want to know. Just want to know. Let me know in the comments, please. Comments or the live chat, whatever. I want to know starting with next week, because next week's the first week, and I'm going to schedule my show tomorrow probably for next week. It is another one-on-one, this time with Jason Ladwig. He's a new collector, only been in for 3 years, but he's 48. And that's what makes him different than most new collectors. He's getting in late, switching over from comics, But he emailed me, has a bunch of questions as a newer guy. And I said, let's do this on camera so we can help a lot more newer guys, So he's agreed to do it. But I need to sort of tell him if can we do this at 7? If he's available, do you guys prefer we do it at 7? So let me know. I don't see anybody really saying anything other than go Niners.
Go Pack.
Always depends if your own team is playing that night. I get it. Okay. Anyways, I guess look, I'll make the decision, and when I schedule the show, you guys will find out by looking at the thumbnail what time it's going to start on. So that's it. But let me quickly jump out of here and show you the very plain. I only did it 10 minutes or 15 minutes before we went live tonight because I didn't have time. But that's Jason Ladwig. And yeah, so it's basically for next Sunday. I don't know what time yet. So that's why I kind of want to figure out if it'll be better to move the show back an hour or leave it at the usual time. I know me as a football fan, I don't want to have to miss the games. So I'd rather do an hour early. But if I start losing viewers because of it, then I just don't know. I don't want to lose viewers that won't come back 4 months later because they'll have forgotten about me, kind of thing, NFL Red Zone all day for me. All I care about is how my FF players perform. I'm mercenary as fuck. Okay. Yeah, man. I mean, okay. Look, guys. I guess I will. I'll decide. I'll decide over the next 2 days. What's going to do, and who knows, maybe I'll take it on a week-by-week basis depending on the teams that are playing. I'll just say, I'll do it earlier, I'll do it later, or whatever, and we'll do it that way. But thanks again, everybody. We should get going. Guys, just stick it in the room just for a couple of minutes before I let you guys go to sleep.
Thank you, Chris. High five, man.
Wait, no. No. Yeah.
There we go. Yeah. High five, buddy.
Cool, Rick.
No, I mean, you just have to go up.
Yeah.
Holla!
We'll both do a high five.
Here you go.
We just ruined the whole show. Everybody was like, oh, this guy's smart.
Okay, take two. Everybody, wait. We're going to start over.
Yeah, we'll go back.
Thanks, Oranga. Thanks for coming in late. I appreciate it. Thanks, Mr. Easy Go Lucky. Thanks. Oh, and that's a new name, Noel Cameron. Hey, thank you, Lurker Noel. I hope you come back. Thank you. I appreciate seeing a new name, not a new face, but a new name. Appreciate it. And of course, Oranga takes it back and cancel the football season. Great highlight reel show, guys. Thank you, Rick, for always being here, man. I really, really appreciate it. Always. Thank you so much. So that's it, guys. We're gonna sign off. Good night to all of you. Have a good rest of the week. And for those of you who tune in next week, and especially if any of you guys in the chat, if you know newer collectors, if you've been chatting with newer collectors, please let them know about next week's show because they can hopefully learn something. Yeah, and that's it. So that's it, guys. I'm gonna put yourself on mute while I put the pop-up the subscribe thing on, and I'll see you in a minute. And thank you to everybody who watched again. Thank you for sticking in so long. It's a record length for my shows. But thank you. Really, really appreciate you always. My lucky number is the number of viewers right now, 19. So awesome. Thank you again, and we'll see you guys next week.